The knock came at 1:47 a.m., hard enough to wake his daughter in the next room. Adrian Cole opened the door expecting trouble. A neighbor, a mistake, maybe cops. Instead, he found Lily Monroe standing in the rain, mascara streaked down her face, wearing a designer dress that cost more than his rent. The girl who'd smiled at him across coffee shop counters for 2 years but never really saw him. Now she was here, shaking, asking to come in. He should have said no. He didn't. If you want to see how one decision changes everything, stay until the end. Hit that like button and drop your city in the comments. I want to see how far this story travels. Adrian hadn't slept well in 4 years. Not since Emma was born. Not since Sarah left 6 months later, deciding motherhood wasn't the adventure she'd signed up for. So when the knocking started just before 2 in the morning, his body reacted before his brain caught up, rolling out of bed, checking Emma's room first, then moving toward the front door with the kind of caution you develop when you're responsible for someone smaller than yourself. He checked the peephole. Lily Monroe. His chest tightened. She stood under the hallway's flickering fluorescent light, soaked through, her arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to hold her own pieces together. Her honey blonde hair hung in wet ropes against her shoulders. The black dress she wore probably had a French name he couldn't pronounce. Even destroyed, she looked like she'd stepped out of a magazine. The kind of woman who didn't belong in a building where the elevator worked 3 days a week if you were lucky. Adrian unlocked the door. Lily? She looked up at him, and the expression on her face knocked something loose in his chest. He'd seen her smile 100 times, polite, distant, the kind of smile you give the guy who makes your latte. He'd never seen her cry. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't know where else to go." He should have asked questions, should have at least hesitated. Instead, he stepped aside. "Come in." She moved past him into the small living room, dripping rainwater onto the hardwood he'd spent 3 weekends refinishing. She stood there in the middle of the space, looking lost, like she'd just realized she'd made a terrible mistake. "I'll get you a towel," Adrian said. He returned with 2, one for her hair, one for the floor, and his Columbia hoodie, the one with the broken zipper that he'd been meaning to replace for a year. She took them without a word, dabbing at her face, her movements mechanical. "Emma's asleep," he said quietly, nodding toward the hallway. "But these walls are thin, so I'll be quiet." Lily pulled the hoodie on over her dress. It swallowed her. "I promise I won't. I just needed—" She didn't finish. She sank onto his couch, the one he'd bought off Craigslist for $80, and put her face in her hands. Adrian stood there useless, trying to figure out what the hell you're supposed to do when the woman you've been half in love with for 2 years shows up at your door in the middle of the night, clearly running from something. "Do you want coffee?" he finally asked. "Or tea? I think I have tea somewhere." "Do you have anything stronger?" "I have whiskey. It's not good whiskey." "I don't care." He poured 2 glasses, generous ones, and sat down in the armchair across from her, keeping distance between them because that felt important somehow. She took the glass and drank half of it in one go, wincing. "You weren't lying," she said. "This is terrible." "Told you." "It's perfect." She drank the rest, then set the empty glass on the coffee table next to a stack of Emma's coloring books. Her hands were shaking. "Lily," Adrian said carefully. "What happened?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "What didn't happen?" "That's not an answer." "I know." She pulled her knees up to her chest, making herself smaller. "Do you remember 3 months ago, when I came into the shop with my boyfriend?" Adrian remembered. Tall guy, expensive suit, the kind of smile that looked practiced. Marcus something. He'd ordered for Lily without asking what she wanted, then spent the entire time on his phone while she sat across from him, pretending not to notice. "Yeah," Adrian said. "I found out tonight he's been sleeping with my cousin, for 6 months. Maybe longer." She said it flatly, like she was reading a grocery list. "Everyone knew. My parents knew. His parents definitely knew. I was the only idiot who didn't." Jesus. "It gets better." She looked at him then, really looked at him, and Adrian felt that pull again, the one he'd been ignoring every Tuesday and Thursday morning when she came in for her usual order. "Tonight was our engagement party." "You're engaged?" "Was. Past tense." She gestured at her dress. "Hence the outfit. 200 people, open bar, ice sculpture shaped like a swan. My father gave a speech about legacy and family tradition. Marcus's mother cried. Very touching." Then I went looking for Marcus because he'd disappeared, and I found him in the coat room with Victoria. My cousin Victoria. The one who was supposed to be my maid of honor. Adrian didn't know what to say to that. Nothing seemed adequate. I'm sorry, felt hollow. That's fucked up, felt obvious. What did you do? He asked instead. I stood there like an idiot for probably 30 seconds. They didn't even notice me at first. Then Marcus saw me, and he had the audacity to look annoyed, not guilty. Annoyed, like I was interrupting something important. She reached for his glass, realized it was empty, set it back down. So I walked out. Didn't say anything to anyone, just left. Got in my car, drove around for an hour, and then I ended up here. Why here? The question came out before he could stop it. Lily had family. She had friends with houses that probably had more square footage than this entire building. She had resources he couldn't even imagine. Because you're the only person who's ever looked at me like I'm not a problem to solve, she said simply. Every Tuesday, every Thursday. You smile at me like you're actually happy to see me, not because I'm Harrison Monroe's daughter or because my family owns half the buildings downtown, just because I walked in. Adrian's throat felt tight. Lily, I know it's stupid. I know you were just being nice. You're nice to everyone. I've seen you with the regulars, but I kept thinking about it tonight, sitting in my car trying to figure out where to go. And I realized you're the only person I wanted to talk to, the only person who might actually listen. I'm listening, he said. And he was. He'd never stopped. She told him everything. Not the sanitized version you tell acquaintances, but the real story. How Marcus had proposed in front of her entire family at Christmas dinner, putting her on the spot, making it impossible to say anything but yes. How the wedding had stopped being about them within a week, if it ever had been, and become about merging two family empires. How she'd felt herself disappearing a little more every day, turning into whoever everyone else needed her to be. I kept telling myself it was normal, Lily said, that everyone feels trapped before their wedding, cold feet, pre-wedding jitters, all the stupid phrases people use to make you feel crazy for trusting your gut. Your gut was right. Yeah, a lot of good that does me now. She pulled the hoodie tighter around herself. I can't go back there, not tonight, maybe not ever, but I can't afford a hotel because Marcus has access to my credit cards, and the second I use one, he'll know where I am, and I can't. You can stay here, Adrian heard himself say. Lily looked at him. Adrian, I can't ask you to. You're not asking, I'm offering. The couch pulls out. It's not comfortable, but it's dry. He stood, moving toward the hallway closet where he kept the spare bedding. Stay tonight. Tomorrow we'll figure out the rest. Why are you being so nice to me? He paused, his hand on the closet door. That was a question with a complicated answer, because he'd been watching her for 2 years, learning her order, noticing when she switched from regular coffee to decaf, remembering that she liked her cappuccinos extra hot, because every time she smiled at him, really smiled, it was the best part of his day. Because he'd built an entire fantasy in his head about a life that could never exist, her and him and Emma, something resembling normal, and he knew it was pathetic, but he couldn't quite stop himself. Because you deserve someone to be nice to you, he said instead. No strings attached. He made up the couch while Lily changed into an old t-shirt and sweatpants he dug out of his drawer. They were massive on her. She looked about 16 years old, all the polish scrubbed away, just a tired woman who'd had the worst night of her life. Thank you, she said. Really. I'll be gone in the morning. Get some sleep. Adrian went back to his room but didn't get into bed. He sat on the edge, listening to the sounds of Lily settling in the next room. The couch springs creaked. She shifted once, twice, then went still. He should have been thinking about logistics, where she'd go tomorrow, how to help her without overstepping. Instead, all he could think about was the look on her face when she'd asked why he was being nice to her, like she genuinely couldn't imagine someone doing something kind without wanting something in return. Around 4, Emma woke up crying, a nightmare about monsters under the bed. Adrian went to her, sat on the floor beside her, and did the routine they'd perfected over the past year. Check under the bed, check the closet, check behind the curtains, spray the room with monster repellent, water in a spray bottle with a hand-drawn label. Promise he was right down the hall. When he came back out, Lily was sitting up on the couch, watching. Sorry, Adrian said quietly. Did we wake you? No, I wasn't really sleeping anyway. She pulled her knees up again. You're good with her. I'm figuring it out as I go. That's not what it looks like from here. They sat in the half-dark, not talking, just existing in the same space. The rain had stopped. Through the window, the city was starting to wake up, delivery trucks rumbling past, someone's alarm going off 3 apartments over. Can I ask you something? Lily said after a while. Yeah? Why did her mom leave? Adrian leaned back against the wall, considering how much to share. She said she felt trapped, that she was too young to be tied down, that she'd made a mistake. Emma wasn't a mistake. I know that. Sarah didn't. Do you hate her? Sometimes. Mostly I just feel bad for her. She's missing everything good. He looked toward Emma's room. Every time Emma learns something new, every time she laughs at something stupid, every bedtime story, Sarah's somewhere else thinking she escaped something terrible, when really she just walked away from the best thing she'll ever be part of. You still love her? No, Adrian said, and he meant it. I stopped loving Sarah about 6 hours after she left, but I'll always be angry at her for giving up on Emma. That's different. Lily was quiet for a long moment. I don't think I ever loved Marcus. What did you feel? Safe. Or I thought I did. Turns out I just confused security with love. He was the right age, the right background, the right last name. My parents approved. His parents approved. It was supposed to be easy. She laughed bitterly. Guess I was wrong about that too. Easy isn't the same as right. No, it's really not. The sun started coming up, pale gray light filtering through the blinds. Adrian knew he should try to sleep. Emma would be up in 2 hours wanting breakfast and cartoons. But he didn't want to move, didn't want to break whatever this was. I should let you rest, Lily finally said. You should rest too. I will. But she didn't lie back down. She just sat there, looking at him like she was trying to figure something out. Adrian? Yeah? Back at the coffee shop, those mornings, did you… She trailed off, shook her head. Never mind. That's not fair to ask. Ask anyway. Did you ever think about me? When I wasn't there? The honest answer would change things, would shift whatever this was into territory he wasn't sure either of them could handle right now. But he'd already decided, somewhere in the last few hours, that he wasn't going to lie to her. Every day, he said quietly. Lily's breath caught. Oh, but you were engaged. You were living a whole different life, so I kept it to myself. And now? Now you're going through hell, and the last thing you need is me making it more complicated. What if I don't care about complicated right now? Adrian looked at her, really looked at her, at the way she was watching him, the way she'd pulled his hoodie tight around herself like armor, at the vulnerability in her eyes and the hope underneath it, fragile and desperate. He wanted to cross the room, wanted to pull her close and promise her everything would be okay, wanted to be the thing she was reaching for in the dark. Instead, he said, You've had the worst night of your life. You're hurt and you're angry and you're looking for something solid to hold on to. I get that, but I won't be the thing you regret when the sun comes up. You think I'd regret you? I think you deserve a time to figure out what you actually want, not what you're running from. He stood up, putting more distance between them, because that was the only way he could trust himself. Get some sleep, Lily. We'll talk in the morning. Real talk. About what comes next. But right now, you need to rest. She looked like she wanted to argue. Instead, she nodded and lay back down, pulling the blanket up to her chin. Adrian went back to his room and closed the door. He didn't sleep, just lay there listening to the building wake up around him, thinking about the woman on his couch and all the ways this could go wrong. Thinking about Emma, about the life he'd built for her, about whether he had any right to risk that stability for something that might fall apart the second Lily's world stopped spinning. But he also thought about the way she'd looked at him when he said he thought about her every day, like he'd just handed her something precious she'd stopped believing existed. Around 7, Emma came padding into his room, dragging her stuffed elephant. Daddy, there's a lady on our couch. I know, baby. Her name is Lily. She's a friend. Why is she here? She needed a safe place to stay for the night. Emma considered this with the seriousness of a 4-year-old contemplating the universe. Is she sad? Yeah, she's pretty sad. We should make her pancakes. Pancakes make everyone happy. Adrian pulled Emma onto the bed, kissed the top of her head. You know what? That's a really good idea. They made pancakes, slightly burned because Adrian got distracted, but Emma didn't mind. She arranged them on a plate with strawberries in a smiley face pattern while Adrian started coffee. When Lily emerged from the living room still wearing his sweatpants and looking like she hadn't slept at all, Emma presented the plate with both hands. "We made you happy pancakes," Emma announced, "because you're sad." Lily took the plate, and Adrian watched something crack in her expression. "Thank you, sweetheart. These are the most beautiful pancakes I've ever seen. Daddy burned them a little, but they still taste good. I'm sure they're perfect." They ate at the small kitchen table, Emma filling the silence with a rambling story about the picture she was drawing at preschool. Lily listened like Emma was explaining something profound, asking questions, genuinely engaged. Adrian watched them and felt something settle in his chest that he couldn't quite name. After breakfast, Emma went to her room to get dressed, and Lily helped Adrian clear the table. "She's wonderful," Lily said quietly. "She is. You're lucky." "I know." Lily set down the plate she was holding and turned to face him. "I meant what I said last night, all of it." "Lily, I know you think I'm just reacting, that I'm confused or emotional or whatever. And maybe you're right. Maybe in a week I'll wake up and realize I made everything worse." She stepped closer. "But right now, standing in your kitchen, watching you with your daughter, I've never been more sure of anything. You're good, Adrian. Really good. And I've spent so long surrounded by people who only know how to take that I forgot what it looks like when someone just gives." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I don't want to go back. Not to Marcus, not to that life, not to any of it." Her voice was steady now, certain. "I want to figure out who I am when nobody's telling me who to be. And I want—" She stopped, took a breath. "I want to know if what I felt last night was real. If you felt it too." Adrian's heart was pounding. "I felt it." "Then don't push me away, not yet." She reached for his hand and he let her take it. "I'm not asking you to fix me. I'm not asking for promises. I'm just asking for a chance to see what this could be. When I'm thinking straight, when I'm not running." He should have said no, should have protected himself, protected Emma, protected Lily from making decisions she wasn't ready for. Instead, he squeezed her hand and said, "Okay." The word hung in the air between them, heavy with possibility. Before either of them could figure out what came next, Adrian's phone rang. He didn't recognize the number, but he answered anyway. "Is this Adrian Cole?" A man's voice, clipped and professional. "Yeah, who's this?" "Harrison Monroe. I believe my daughter is with you." Adrian's stomach dropped. He looked at Lily, whose face had gone pale. "How did you get this number?" "That's not important. What's important is that Lily comes home immediately. There are some very serious family matters that need to be addressed. I'm not your messenger service. You want to talk to Lily, talk to her yourself." He held out the phone. Lily shook her head frantically. "Mr. Cole," Harrison said, and there was steel in his voice now. "I don't think you understand the situation you've put yourself in. My daughter is emotionally compromised. She's made some very poor decisions in the last 12 hours. The best thing you can do for everyone involved is send her home and forget this ever happened. With all due respect, your daughter is a grown woman who can make her own decisions. Can she? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like she ran straight into the arms of someone who saw an opportunity." Adrian felt anger flash hot in his chest. "You don't know anything about me. I know enough. I know you work in a coffee shop. I know you're a single father with debt and limited prospects. I know my daughter showed up at your door last night vulnerable and upset, and now you're playing the hero. So let me make this very clear. Whatever you think is happening here, it ends now. Send Lily home, and we'll overlook this entire incident. And if I don't, then we'll have a very different conversation. The kind that involves lawyers and custody evaluations, and a very thorough investigation into exactly what kind of home environment you're providing for your daughter." The threat landed like a punch. Adrian looked at Emma's closed door, then at Lily, who had tears running down her face. "You're threatening my kid?" "I'm protecting my family. There's a difference." Harrison's voice softened slightly. "You seem like a decent man, Mr. Cole. Don't make this ugly. Send my daughter home. Walk away. Find someone in your own league." The line went dead. Adrian stood there, phone in hand, trying to process what had just happened. Lily was shaking. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry. I should have known he'd find out. He probably tracked my car or my phone, or—" She pressed her hands to her face. I'll go. Right now. I won't let him hurt you or Emma. I'll figure something else out. Stop. Adrian, you heard him. He'll destroy you. He'll take Emma. You can't. I said stop. Adrian set the phone down carefully, thinking. He's bluffing. He has to be. A custody evaluation? That takes months and I haven't done anything wrong. He's just trying to scare me. He's not bluffing. My father doesn't bluff. When he wants something, he gets it. Lily was already moving toward the living room, gathering her things. I have to go. I have to fix this before he... What are you going to do? Go back to Marcus? Pretend last night didn't happen? If that's what it takes to keep you safe, yes. No. Adrian caught her arm gently. Lily, listen to me. Your father is counting on you being scared, on you doing exactly what he wants because that's what you've always done. But you don't have to. You don't understand what he's capable of. Then explain it to me. But do it here, where you're safe. Don't run back into something that's already broken just because he made a phone call. Emma emerged from her room, dressed in mismatched socks and her favorite dinosaur shirt. She looked at Lily, then at Adrian, her expression worried. Is the sad lady leaving? Lily crouched down to Emma's level, wiping at her eyes. I might have to, sweetheart. But you didn't finish your happy pancakes. I know. I'm sorry. It's okay. We can save them for later. Emma hugged her elephant tighter. Are you going to be okay? That simple question, asked with such genuine concern, seemed to break something in Lily. She pulled Emma into a hug, holding on like she was drowning. I'm going to try, she said. When she let go, she looked up at Adrian. I need to think. I need to figure out what to do. So think, but think here. Your father threatened Emma. He made implications. That's not the same as action. Adrian helped Lily to her feet. Look, I'm not saying this isn't serious. It is. But making decisions out of fear? That's how you got into this mess in the first place. Lily looked at him for a long moment, then at Emma, then back at him. One more day. I'll stay one more day. But if my father makes one move toward Emma, I'm gone. I won't be the reason someone hurts her. Deal. The rest of the morning passed in a strange kind of suspended animation. Adrian called in sick to work, first time in 8 months. And Emma went to a play date with the neighbor's kid. That left him and Lily alone in the apartment, trying to figure out what came next. I need to go back eventually, Lily said. She was sitting cross-legged on the couch, Adrian's hoodie still wrapped around her. Not to Marcus, not to my father's house. But I have things there. Clothes, documents, my car. I can't just disappear. We'll get your stuff. But not alone. Adrian, you can't go with me. If my father sees you, then we'll go when he's not there. You know his schedule, right? She nodded slowly. He plays golf every Sunday morning, 9 to noon, never misses it. There we go, Sunday morning. We go in, get what you need, get out. What about Marcus? What about him? He's been texting me 47 times since last night. Lily held up her phone, which she'd finally turned back on. The screen was full of notifications. He wants to talk, says we can work through this, says Victoria meant nothing. Do you want to talk to him? No, but maybe I should. Maybe I owe him that much. You don't owe him anything. He was my fiancé for 6 months, Adrian. I can't just ghost him. Why not? He ghosted you emotionally for probably the entire relationship. He just kept showing up physically. Lily almost smiled at that. That's probably true. You want my advice? Don't respond. Not yet. Let him sit with it. Let him wonder. You've spent enough time accommodating everyone else's feelings. Focus on yours for once. She was quiet for a while, scrolling through the messages. Then she turned the phone off completely and set it aside. Okay, she said. Sunday, we get my stuff. After that, I don't know. I'll figure something out. You can stay here as long as you need to. Adrian, I can't do that to you. Your life is complicated enough without... My life is lonely. The words came out before he could filter them. Emma and I, we're fine. We have routines and systems and we get by. But it's lonely. Coming home to an empty apartment every night, only talking to other adults when someone orders coffee, watching Emma grow up and wishing there was someone else there to see it. He looked at Lily. Having you here, even with all the chaos, it doesn't feel like a burden. It feels like possibility. What if I mess it up? Then you mess it up. People do that. They try things and fail and try again. That's how life works. You make it sound simple. It's not simple. It's terrifying. But I'd rather be terrified and trying than safe and alone. Lily reached across the space between them and took his hand. I like you, Adrian Cole. You're either the smartest person I've ever met or the dumbest. I haven't figured out which yet. Probably both. They spent the afternoon talking. Really talking. The kind of conversation you only have when you've already seen each other at your worst and there's no point in pretending anymore. Lily told him about growing up with parents who measured love in investment portfolios and social connections, about the pressure to be perfect, to marry well, to produce grandchildren who would carry on the legacy, about how she'd stopped recognizing herself somewhere along the way. Adrian told her about Sarah, about the pregnancy that was supposed to save a relationship that was already dead, about the day he came home to find a note in an empty closet and a baby who wouldn't stop crying, about learning to be a father while grieving the future he'd thought he was building. When Emma came home, they made dinner together, spaghetti with sauce from a jar because Adrian couldn't cook worth a damn, and Lily had never been allowed in her family's kitchen. Emma narrated the entire process, explaining her very specific theories about how to properly twirl noodles on a fork. They ate at the coffee table because the kitchen table was covered with Emma's art supplies, and it felt more like home than any formal dinner Adrian had ever attended. After Emma went to bed, Lily helped Adrian clean up the disaster they'd made of the kitchen. This is nice, she said quietly. Washing dishes? No, this. All of it. The chaos and the burned garlic bread and Emma getting sauce in her hair. It's messy and imperfect, and I love it. Adrian dried the last plate and set it in the cabinet. Your life doesn't have to be perfect to be good. I'm starting to figure that out. She turned to face him, and suddenly the space between them felt charged with something Adrian couldn't quite name. Lily stepped closer. Can I tell you something? She asked. Yeah. I've been thinking about kissing you since approximately 7:30 this morning when you explained to Emma why clouds don't fall out of the sky. Adrian's mouth went dry. That's specific. You were so patient with her, so present, and I thought, that's what I want. Someone who shows up fully, someone who doesn't treat everything like a transaction. Lily, I know you said I need time. I know you think I'm just reacting, but what if I'm not? What if I'm actually seeing clearly for the first time in years? She was close enough now that Adrian could smell the coffee on her breath, see the flecks of gold in her eyes. Every instinct he had was screaming at him to close the distance, to take what she was offering, to stop overthinking and just feel something good for once in his life. Instead, he stepped back. No, he said. The word physically hurt coming out. Lily flinched like he'd slapped her. Oh, I'm sorry, I misread. You didn't misread anything. I want to kiss you. I want a lot more than that. Adrian forced himself to meet her eyes. But not like this. Not when you're still figuring out who you are without Marcus and your father and all of it. Not when there's a chance you'll wake up tomorrow and regret me. I wouldn't regret you. You don't know that. You can't know that. It's been less than 24 hours since your entire life imploded. He gentled his voice. I've been where you are, Lily. After Sarah left, I was desperate for someone to make me feel like I wasn't completely unlovable. And if someone had been there offering what I'm offering you right now, I would have taken it. And it would have been a disaster. Because I wasn't ready. I was just scared and lonely and looking for a quick fix to a problem that needed time. This isn't a quick fix. I know, but we have time to figure that out. We don't have to rush this. What if I don't want to wait? Then you don't. But I do. He reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, let his hand linger for just a second against her cheek. I've waited 2 years already, Lily. I can wait a little longer to do this right. Tears welled in her eyes. You're a better person than I deserve. No. I'm just a person who's made enough mistakes to recognize when something matters enough to be careful with it. She leaned into his palm, eyes closing. Will you at least hold me? Just for a minute. I need to feel like someone's on my side. Adrian pulled her into his arms, and she collapsed against his chest like all the fight had gone out of her. He held her while she cried. Quiet, shaking sobs that felt like they were pulling something essential out of her. He didn't tell her it would be okay. Didn't make promises he couldn't keep. just stood there in his tiny kitchen holding a woman who'd had everything and lost it all in one night and let her fall apart. When the crying finally stopped, Lily pulled back just enough to look at him. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For being decent. For not taking advantage. For making me believe that maybe not everyone is trying to use me. Not everyone is. I'm starting to see that." She went to bed on this pull-out couch, and Adrian went to his room, and they both pretended they were going to sleep even though neither of them did. Adrian lay in the dark, listening to Lily shift and turn in the next room, thinking about the decision he'd just made and whether he was noble or just an idiot. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You made a mistake tonight, Mr. Cole. My daughter will come to her senses, and when she does, you'll be a footnote. Walk away now while you still can." Adrian deleted the message and turned his phone off. Outside, the city hummed with late-night traffic and sirens and all the noise of people living their complicated lives. Inside, everything was quiet except for the sound of two people trying to figure out if broken things could be put back together differently than they'd started. Sunday was 3 days away. 3 days to figure out if what they were building was real or just another beautiful disaster waiting to happen. Adrian stared at the ceiling and hoped like hell he'd made the right call. The next morning arrived with Emma jumping on Adrian's bed at 6:30, which meant he'd gotten maybe 2 hours of actual sleep. His eyes felt like sandpaper and his head was full of cotton, but Emma didn't care about adult problems like exhaustion or existential dread. "Daddy, the sad lady is still here," Emma announced, bouncing hard enough to make the bed frame creak. "Is she going to stay forever?" "I don't know, baby. Probably not forever." "Why not? I like her." "It's complicated." "That's what you always say when you don't want to explain things." Adrian pulled Emma down into a hug, buying himself a few more seconds of horizontal existence. "You're too smart for your own good, you know that?" Mommy Sarah used to say that too. The mention of Sarah landed heavy in the room. Emma rarely brought her up anymore, and when she did, it was always casual, like she was mentioning someone she'd met once at a party. Adrian wasn't sure if that was healthy or just sad. "Did she?" he asked carefully. "Yeah, before she left, she said I was too smart and too loud and too much work." Emma said it matter-of-factly, like she was reciting a grocery list. "Is that why she went away?" Adrian's heart cracked. He sat up, pulling Emma into his lap. "No, absolutely not. Mommy Sarah left because she had problems she couldn't fix, and none of those problems were your fault. You're perfect exactly how you are." "But you said nobody's perfect." "I meant perfect for me. For our life. You're exactly the daughter I wanted." Emma considered this, then shrugged with the emotional resilience of someone who'd already learned that some people leave and you just keep going. "Okay, can we have waffles?" "We don't have waffle mix." "We could go to the store." "We could." "Can Lily come?" Through the wall, Adrian heard the sound of Lily moving around in the living room, the couch springs, water running in the bathroom, normal domestic sounds that felt surreal given the circumstances. "How about you ask her?" Adrian said. Emma rocketed off the bed and disappeared into the hallway. Adrian heard her knock on the bathroom door, heard Lily's surprised laugh, heard Emma's voice explaining the critical importance of waffles. By the time he made it to the living room, Emma had already extracted a promise from Lily to accompany them to the grocery store, and Lily was looking at him helplessly over Emma's head. "Sorry," Adrian mouthed. "It's fine," Lily mouthed back. They went to the grocery store. It was possibly the most mundane thing Adrian had done in the past 48 hours, which made it feel almost absurdly normal. Emma rode in the cart, Lily pushed, and Adrian navigated, and to any outside observer they probably looked like a regular family doing regular family things. Nobody knew that Lily was wearing Adrian's clothes because all of hers were at a mansion across town. Nobody knew her father had threatened Adrian's custody of his daughter. Nobody knew any of it. "We need eggs," Emma said, very seriously. "And the good syrup, not the fake kind." "The good syrup costs $8 a bottle," Adrian said, "but it tastes better." "She's got you there," Lily said, grabbing the expensive syrup and dropping it in the cart before Adrian could protest. "You don't have to—" "It's syrup, Adrian, not a car." They moved through the aisles, Emma providing running commentary on every product that caught her attention. Lily listened like Emma was explaining quantum physics, asking questions, genuinely engaged. Adrian watched them together and felt that dangerous hope building in his chest again. The kind that could destroy you if you weren't careful. At the checkout, Lily's phone rang. She looked at the screen and her entire body went rigid. "It's Marcus," she said quietly. "You want me to answer it?" Adrian asked. "No, I have to deal with this eventually." She stepped away from the cart, toward the store's entrance, and answered. Adrian couldn't hear what she was saying, but he could see her body language. Shoulders hunched, one arm wrapped around herself like armor. The conversation lasted maybe 2 minutes. When she came back, her face was pale. "What did he say?" Adrian asked. "He wants to meet, tonight. Says we need to talk face to face. Do you want to?" "I don't know, maybe?" She looked miserable. He apologized, said he made a terrible mistake, said Victoria meant nothing, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to make this right. Emma was trying to reach a candy bar from the rack next to the register, oblivious to the adult drama unfolding around her. Adrian gently moved the candy out of reach. "What do you want to do?" he asked Lily. "I want to tell him to go to hell. But I also want answers. I want to know how long it was going on. I want to know why he proposed if he was sleeping with someone else. I want—" She stopped, took a breath. "I want closure. Is that stupid?" "No, it's human." "Will you come with me?" Adrian started to say yes automatically, then stopped. "Is that a good idea? Your father already thinks I'm some kind of predator. Me showing up to your meeting with your ex-fiancé probably won't help. I don't care what my father thinks anymore." "Lily, I'm serious. I'm done letting him control my life. If I want you there, you should be there." Adrian paid for the groceries. Lily tried to pay, but he shut that down fast, and they drove back to the apartment in silence. Emma fell asleep in her car seat, exhausted from the excitement of choosing between 17 different types of cereal. Lily stared out the window, her phone clutched in one hand. Back at the apartment, Adrian made waffles while Lily sat at the kitchen table, typing and deleting and retyping a text message to Marcus. Finally, she set the phone down with more force than necessary. "I told him 6 o'clock. At the coffee shop where we met. Neutral territory." "The one downtown?" "Yeah, I figured public space, lots of people around. He can't make a scene." "You want me there or not? Be honest." Lily looked at him for a long moment. "I want you there, but not in the room. Maybe at a different table. Close enough that I can see you, but far enough that he doesn't feel ambushed. I can do that." "Thank you." They spent the afternoon in a strange kind of limbo. Emma played with her toys, oblivious. Adrian tried to work on his laptop. He had bills to review and a schedule to plan for the next week, but couldn't focus. Lily sat on the couch, staring at nothing, occasionally checking her phone. Around 4, she finally spoke. "I need to change. I can't meet Marcus wearing your sweatpants." "We could stop by your place first, get some of your things." "Not until Sunday. I'm not risking running into my father. So wear my sweatpants. Who cares what Marcus thinks?" "I care. I need to feel like myself for this conversation, and myself doesn't wear men's athletic wear to important meetings." Adrian thought about this. "Emma has a friend whose mom is about your size. I could text her, see if she'd lend you something." 20 minutes later, Adrian's neighbor, Rachel, showed up with 3 different outfits and way too many questions that Adrian deflected with practiced vagueness. Lily emerged from the bedroom 15 minutes after that, wearing dark jeans and a green sweater that actually fit, looking more like the woman Adrian had watched from across the counter for 2 years, and less like someone who'd been sleeping on his couch. "Better?" she asked. "You looked fine before." "That's not what I asked." "You look like you," Adrian said. "Like you can handle whatever comes next." At 5:30, they left Emma with Rachel, who was clearly dying to know what was going on, but was too polite to push, and drove to the coffee shop. It was one of those aggressively trendy places with exposed brick and reclaimed wood and 7 different types of milk alternatives. Adrian had been there once and decided he preferred his own shop's worn-out charm and straightforward menu. Lily was vibrating with nervous energy in the passenger seat. What if I can't do this? What if I see him and just fall apart? Then you fall apart. It's not a test. It feels like a test. The only person grading you is you, and you're probably a harder grader than Marcus deserves. They parked a block away. Lily checked her reflection in the visor mirror 3 times, fixed her hair, then unfixed it, then fixed it again. "You ready?" Adrian asked. "No, but I'm doing it anyway." The coffee shop was moderately crowded. Enough people that they wouldn't be completely alone, but not so packed that they couldn't find seats. Marcus was already there, sitting at a corner table, looking like he'd stepped out of a catalog for men who summered in the Hamptons. Pressed shirt, expensive watch, hair that probably cost more to maintain than Adrian's monthly grocery budget. He stood when he saw Lily. "You came." "I said I would." Marcus's eyes flicked to Adrian, who'd positioned himself at a table 10 feet away with a clear line of sight to Lily. "Is he with you?" "Yes." "Lily, this is supposed to be a private conversation." "He stays or I leave. Your choice." Marcus's jaw tightened, but he sat back down. Lily sat across from him, her back straight, hands folded on the table. Adrian ordered a coffee he didn't want and pretended to be very interested in his phone, while actually watching every micro-expression that crossed Lily's face. The conversation started quiet. Adrian couldn't hear the words, but he could read the body language. Marcus leaning forward, earnest, gesturing with his hands. Lily sitting still, listening, her face carefully neutral. This went on for maybe 10 minutes before Marcus reached across the table and tried to take Lily's hand. She pulled back. That's when the volume increased. "You're not even trying to understand," Marcus said, loud enough now that Adrian could hear. "It was a mistake. A stupid, meaningless mistake. Victoria came on to me, and I was weak, and I hate myself for it, but it didn't mean anything." 6 months, Marcus. That's not a mistake. That's a choice you kept making. I was going to end it. I was going to tell you after the wedding." "After the wedding?" Lily's voice was sharp now, cutting. "You were going to marry me while still sleeping with my cousin, and you think that makes it better?" "I think it means I chose you. Despite everything, I chose you." "You didn't choose me. You chose the version of me that came with a trust fund and social connections and a family name that looks good on merger documents." Marcus sat back, his expression hardening. "That's not fair." "Isn't it? Be honest, Marcus. If I was broke and nobody, would you have proposed?" "This is ridiculous. You're upset, I get it, but you're not thinking clearly." "I'm thinking more clearly than I have in months, maybe years." Lily stood up. "We're done. Not just the engagement, everything. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear from you. We're done." "Lily, sit down. We're not finished." "Yes, we are." Marcus stood too, and something in his expression shifted. The polished veneer cracked, and Adrian saw what was underneath. Anger, entitlement, the rage of someone who'd never been told no. "You're making a huge mistake," Marcus said. "You think you can just walk away? You think anyone else is going to want you? You're damaged goods now, Lily. Everyone knows what happened. Everyone knows you ran away like a child throwing a tantrum. Your father is furious. Your mother is humiliated. And that guy," he jerked his chin toward Adrian, "he's using you." He saw a vulnerable woman with money and saw an opportunity. "You're too naive to see it, but everyone else can." Adrian stood up. He didn't plan to. His body just moved. "That's enough," he said quietly. Marcus turned on him. "Excuse me? This is a private conversation." "Not anymore." Adrian closed the distance to Lily's table, positioning himself slightly between her and Marcus. "She said you're done, so you're done." "Who the hell do you think you are?" "Someone who actually cares about what she wants. Wild concept, I know." Marcus laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You care about her money. That's what you care about. You think I don't see what's happening here? She shows up at your door, you play the white knight, and suddenly you've got access to the Monroe fortune. It's transparent." "The only thing that's transparent is how little you know her," Adrian said. "If you knew her at all, you'd know she's worth more than whatever number is in her bank account. But you don't see that. You never did. And you do? You've known her for what, a few days of actually talking? I was with her for 2 years. Yeah, and you spent those 2 years taking her for granted and sleeping with her cousin. So maybe your expertise isn't as valuable as you think." People were staring now. The barista had stopped making drinks. The whole coffee shop had gone quiet, watching the drama unfold. Marcus stepped closer to Adrian, and Adrian held his ground. They were roughly the same height, but Marcus had probably 50 pounds on him. Still, Adrian didn't move. "You want to take this outside?" Marcus asked. "I want you to leave Lily alone. That's what I want." "Marcus, stop." Lily's voice cut through the tension. "Just stop. This is pathetic. We're done. Go home." "Fine. Go slumming with your barista boyfriend. See how long it lasts when you're living in his tiny apartment with his kids screaming at all hours." See how much he loves you when the money runs out and you're just another burden. Marcus grabbed his jacket off the back of his chair. You'll come crawling back. They always do. He walked out, and the coffee shop gradually returned to its normal ambient noise level. Lily sank back into her chair, her hands shaking. I'm sorry, Adrian said. I shouldn't have engaged. Don't apologize. That was... Lily looked up at him, and there were tears in her eyes, but she was smiling. That was the first time anyone's ever defended me like that. My father would have negotiated. My friends would have stayed silent. But you stood up. He was out of line. He was. But so was I, for staying with him as long as I did. She stood up, steadier now. Can we get out of here? I feel like everyone's still watching. They left the coffee shop and walked back to the car in silence. Once they were inside, Lily let out a long breath. I thought I'd feel better after telling him off, but I just feel tired. That's normal. Is it? How would you know? Because I felt the same way after Sarah left. Like I'd been running on adrenaline for months, and suddenly it all caught up with me. Adrian started the car but didn't put it in gear yet. You did good in there. You stood your ground. Only because you were there. No, you were doing fine before I opened my mouth. I just sped things along. Lily turned to look at him. What he said? About you using me for money. You know that's not true, right? I know I'm not using you. Whether you believe that is up to you. I believe it. She said it simply, like it was the easiest thing in the world. I believe you, Adrian. You're probably the only person in my life right now that I do believe. They drove back to the apartment. Rachel was sitting on Adrian's couch when they walked in, Emma asleep on her lap, some animated movie playing quietly on the TV. She crashed about 20 minutes ago, Rachel whispered. Busy day. Thank you for watching her, Adrian said. Anytime. You know that. Rachel carefully extracted herself from under Emma, laying her out on the couch. She looked at Lily, then at Adrian, clearly dying to ask questions. I'll explain later, Adrian said. You better. After Rachel left, Adrian carried Emma to her bed while Lily changed back into his sweatpants. When he came back out, she was sitting on the pull-out couch, hugging her knees to her chest. 2 more days until we can get my stuff, she said. Yeah. What if my father's there anyway? What if he skips golf or comes home early? Then we deal with it. You keep saying that like it's simple. It's not simple, but it's true. Adrian sat down in the armchair, maintaining that careful distance. You can't control what your father does. You can only control how you respond. I'm not good at that. Controlling my response. I usually just do whatever causes the least conflict. I've noticed. Is that bad? It's not bad or good. It's just a thing you do. But you can choose to do something different. Lily was quiet for a moment, picking at a loose thread on the sweatpants. Can I ask you something? Always. What happened with you and Sarah? I mean, I know she left, but what happened before that? What made her leave? Adrian hadn't talked about this in years. Not the real version. He'd given people the sanitized story. She was too young, she wasn't ready, it didn't work out, but not the truth underneath. She was pregnant before we were ready, he said slowly. We'd been dating for about 8 months, both of us working jobs we hated, living in a studio apartment that was basically a closet with a hot plate. And then she missed her period. Were you happy when you found out? Terrified. But yeah, under the terror, I was happy. I thought it meant we were building something. I proposed that week. Bought a ring I couldn't afford and asked her in our crappy apartment, and she said yes. He rubbed his face, remembering. The pregnancy was hard. Sarah was sick all the time. She couldn't work. I picked up extra shifts, tried to save money, tried to be supportive. But I was 28 and had no idea what I was doing. I just kept thinking if I worked hard enough, if I was good enough, everything would be okay. But it wasn't. No. Emma was born, and Sarah had postpartum depression. Bad. She wouldn't hold Emma, wouldn't feed her, just lay in bed staring at the wall. I took 3 weeks off work, all the time I could afford. And when I went back, I thought maybe Sarah would snap out of it, that maybe she just needed time. She didn't snap out of it. She left instead. Came home one day and found a note saying she couldn't do it anymore, that she'd made a mistake, that she was sorry, but she had to go. Adrian's voice was flat now, reciting facts. She signed away custody without a fight, sends child support when she remembers, which is about half the time. I haven't seen her in 3 years. Do you miss her? I miss who I thought she was. I miss the idea of her. But the real Sarah? No. The real Sarah gave up on our daughter, and I can't forgive that. Lily was crying, quiet tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry. Don't be. I got Emma. That makes everything else worth it. Does it? Really? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've been alone for years, working yourself to death, with no one to help. I'm not alone. I have Emma. That's not the same as having a partner. Someone who chooses to be with you. Someone who stays. Adrian met her eyes. Is that what you want to be? Someone who stays? I don't know. I want to be. But wanting and doing are different things. She wiped at her face. What if I'm like Sarah? What if I think I can handle this and then I can't? Then you leave. People do that. But at least you'd be honest about it. That doesn't scare you? Terrifies me. But the alternative is never letting anyone in, and that's worse. They sat there in the quiet, the weight of everything unsaid hanging between them. Outside, sirens wailed past. Someone in the apartment above them was walking around, heavy footsteps that made the ceiling creak. Normal city sounds that felt grounding somehow. Adrian? Lily said after a while. Yeah? I'm glad I knocked on your door. Even if this all falls apart, even if I screw everything up, I'm glad I came here. I'm glad you did too. Are you? Really? Because your life was probably a lot simpler before I showed up with all my chaos. Simpler isn't always better. Lily smiled at that, small but genuine. You say things like that and then expect me not to fall for you. It's not fair. Who said I expected anything? You did, when you turned me down last night. I didn't turn you down. I just said not yet. Is there a difference? Yeah. One means no. The other means I'm willing to wait for the right moment. And when will that be? The right moment. Adrian thought about it. When you wake up and the first thing you think about isn't what you lost. When you can look at your life and see what you're building instead of what fell apart. When you choose me because you want to, not because you need someone to fix things. That could take a while. I've got time. Lily pulled the blanket tighter around herself. What if I never get there? What if I'm always going to be the girl who ran away from her engagement and needed rescuing? Then you're that girl, but I don't think that's who you are. Adrian leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I think you're someone who had the guts to walk away from a life that was killing you slowly. I think you're someone who's figuring out how to be honest for the first time. That's not weakness. That's courage. It doesn't feel courageous. It never does when you're the one doing it. They talked until almost midnight, the conversation meandering from heavy to light and back again. Lily told him about her college years, about the friends she'd lost touch with when she got engaged, about the art classes she'd wanted to take but never did because her father said it wasn't practical. Adrian told her about Emma's first words, about the time she ate an entire box of crayons and he'd spent 3 hours on the phone with poison control, about how much he loved watching her discover new things. Eventually, exhaustion won. Lily fell asleep mid-sentence, still sitting up, and Adrian grabbed an extra blanket to drape over her before heading to his own room. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Sunday. 2 more days. 2 more days and they'd walk into Lily's old life and take back the pieces she needed to start building something new. 2 more days and her father would probably make good on his threats. 2 more days and everything could explode in ways Adrian couldn't predict or control. His phone buzzed. Another unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Then he thought about Emma sleeping down the hall and picked up. What? He said. Mr. Cole, we need to talk. Not Harrison Monroe this time, a woman's voice, smooth and professional. Who is this? Catherine Monroe, Lily's mother. I understand my daughter has been staying with you. She's safe. That's all you need to know. I'm sure she is, but safe isn't the same as smart. Lily is fragile right now. She's not thinking clearly. She needs to come home where we can help her through this difficult transition. Transition? You mean the part where she found out her fiancé was cheating on her with her cousin and everyone knew except her? Catherine's voice cooled several degrees. I understand you're protective. That's admirable. But you don't know my daughter. Not really. She's always been dramatic, always been prone to overreacting when things don't go her way. She found Marcus with Victoria. How is that overreacting? Marcus made a mistake, a terrible mistake, But marriages survive infidelity all the time. With the right support and guidance, Lily could move past this. But not if she's hiding in some man's apartment playing house. Adrian sat up, anger burning hot in his chest. Playing house? She came to me because she had nowhere else to go, because every single person in her life failed her. We didn't fail her. We tried to protect her from making an even bigger mistake. Marcus's indiscretion was unfortunate, but ending the engagement, running away? That's the mistake, and you're enabling it. I'm respecting her choices. You're taking advantage of a vulnerable woman. If that's what you think, there's nothing I can say to change your mind. You're right, there isn't. Catherine paused. My husband is prepared to make things very difficult for you, Mr. Cole. Legal fees, custody battles, employment complications. Is my daughter really worth all that trouble? Yes, Adrian said without hesitation. She is. Even if it costs you your daughter? The threat hung in the air between them. Adrian's hand tightened on the phone. You won't take Emma from me. I haven't done anything wrong. Haven't you? Letting an emotionally unstable woman sleep in the same apartment as your minor child? Some might call that questionable judgment. Some might wonder what else is happening in that apartment, what Emma might be exposed to. Don't you dare... I'm not threatening, Mr. Cole. I'm simply pointing out how things might look to a judge, how things might look to Child Protective Services if someone were to file a report expressing concerns. Adrian's mind raced. This was worse than Harrison's bluster. Catherine was calm, calculated, willing to destroy him to get what she wanted. What do you want? He asked. I want you to convince my daughter to come home. Tell her you can't help her anymore. Tell her you're worried about your daughter. Tell her whatever you need to tell her, but send her back to us. We'll handle the rest. No. Think carefully. I said no. Lily is an adult. She can make her own decisions. If she wants to go back to you, that's her choice. But I won't push her. Then you'll deal with the consequences. The line went dead. Adrian sat there in the dark, phone in his hand, feeling the walls closing in. They were serious, both of them. They would actually try to take Emma away to get Lily back under their control. He should wake Lily up. Tell her what her mother said. Let her make the choice. Instead, he sat there until the panic faded enough to think clearly. Catherine and Harrison could threaten all they wanted, but actually following through would require evidence he was unfit. Which he wasn't. Emma was healthy, happy, well cared for. He had a job, a stable home, a clean record. They could make noise, but noise wasn't the same as action, unless they were willing to lie, to manufacture evidence, to use their money and connections to paint a picture that had nothing to do with reality. Adrian put the phone on his nightstand and forced himself to breathe. Sunday. Get through Sunday. Get Lily's things. Help her get settled somewhere safe. After that, he'd deal with whatever came next. In the living room, Lily shifted in her sleep, murmuring something he couldn't make out. Adrian closed his eyes and tried not to think about how many ways this could all go wrong. Saturday morning came with rain, the kind that drummed against the windows and made the whole world feel smaller. Adrian woke up to find Emma already in the kitchen, standing on a chair at the counter, trying to reach the cereal boxes he kept on the top shelf. Morning, troublemaker, he said, lifting her down. I was getting breakfast. I can see that. What do you want? The one with the marshmallows. That's dessert cereal. Pick again. Emma made a face but grabbed the boring healthy option without further argument. Adrian poured milk, made coffee, and tried not to think about the phone call from last night. Catherine Monroe's voice kept replaying in his head, smooth and threatening, promising consequences he couldn't quite map out but knew would be bad. Lily emerged from the living room looking like she'd slept about as well as he had, which was to say, not at all. Her hair was tangled, his t-shirt hung off one shoulder, and there were dark circles under her eyes. Coffee? Adrian asked. Please. He poured her a cup, black the way she liked it, and watched her wrap both hands around the mug like it was the only thing keeping her upright. Bad night? He asked. Weird dreams, you? Same. Emma looked between them, chewing her cereal thoughtfully. You both look tired. Did the monsters come back? Different kind of monsters, baby, Adrian said. Are they the kind Daddy can spray away? I wish. They ate breakfast in relative silence, the rain providing a steady backdrop. Around 9, Adrian's phone rang. Work. He'd already called in sick yesterday, and now they were calling to ask if he'd be in Monday. He said yes, knowing he couldn't afford to miss another shift, knowing that Monday was the day after they were supposed to retrieve Lily's things, and who knew what kind of disaster that might turn into. After the call, Lily looked at him across the table. "You're going back to work Monday?" "Have to. Bills don't pay themselves." "What about Emma?" "Preschool. She goes Tuesday through Thursday, but they have a Monday program I can usually get her into if I need it. So tomorrow we get my stuff, and then Monday everything goes back to normal." Something like that. Except nothing's normal anymore. Adrian didn't argue, because she was right. Normal had left the building the moment she'd knocked on his door at 2 in the morning. The day stretched out, shapeless and anxious. Emma played with her toys, apparently unbothered by the tension radiating off the adults. Lily scrolled through her phone, then put it down, then picked it up again. Adrian tried to read but couldn't focus. Around noon he gave up and suggested they watch a movie, something mindless and animated that Emma had seen 100 times. They made it through about 40 minutes before Lily stood up abruptly. "I can't do this," she said. "Can't do what?" "Sit here pretending everything's fine when tomorrow I have to walk back into that house, into that life, into all of it." She was pacing now, the nervous energy that had been building for days finally breaking through. "What if my father's there? What if he won't let me take my things? What if he calls the police and says I'm trespassing in my own house? Then we deal with it. Stop saying that. Stop acting like this is all going to work out fine when we both know it could go completely wrong." Emma had stopped watching the movie and was staring at them with wide eyes. Adrian took a breath, keeping his voice level. "You're right. It could go wrong. Your father could be there. He could make a scene. He could call the cops. All of that could happen." He stood up, moving closer to Lily but not touching her. "But we're still going. Because you need your things. Because you deserve to take back what's yours. And because hiding here forever isn't a solution. Maybe it is. Maybe I just stay here and forget about all of it. I don't need designer clothes. I don't need my laptop or my documents or any of it. You need your documents, birth certificate, social security card, passport. You can't exist without those. So we get those and leave everything else. We get everything. Because otherwise they win. They get to keep pieces of you hostage, and you spend the rest of your life wondering what you left behind." Lily stopped pacing, her shoulders sagging. "I'm scared." "I know. What if I see him and I just fall apart? What if I can't be strong enough? Then I'll be strong enough for both of us. That's why I'm coming." She looked at him then, really looked at him, and something in her expression cracked open. "Why are you doing this? Really? You don't owe me anything. You could have sent me away that first night. You could have stayed out of it." Adrian glanced at Emma, who was pretending to watch the movie but was clearly listening to every word. He gestured to the hallway, and Lily followed him to his bedroom, closing the door behind them. "You want the truth?" he asked. "Always. I'm doing this because I've spent 2 years watching you from across a counter, building a version of you in my head that probably has nothing to do with who you actually are. And now you're here, real and complicated and messy. And you're nothing like what I imagined, but you're also so much better." He sat on the edge of the bed, suddenly tired. "I'm doing this because for the first time in 4 years, I feel like there's something in my life besides survival. I'm doing this because you make me want to be braver than I actually am." Lily sat down next to him, close enough that their shoulders touched. "That's a lot of pressure to put on someone you barely know." "I know. That's why I'm trying to do this right. To give you space to figure out what you want without me pushing. What if what I want is you? Then you can have me. But not yet. Not until you're sure." "How will I know when I'm sure?" "You'll know." They sat there for a moment, the rain still coming down outside, Emma's movie playing faintly through the door. Then Lily spoke again, quieter this time. "My mother called you, didn't she?" Adrian's head snapped up. "How did you—" "She called me too last night. Told me I was embarrassing the family. Told me I needed to come home and fix things with Marcus. Told me you were taking advantage of me." Lily's voice was flat, emotionless. She said if I didn't come back, they'd make sure you lost Emma, that they'd find a way to prove you were unfit. "She told you that?" "Not in those exact words, but that was the message. Come home or watch them destroy you." Adrian felt something cold settle in his stomach. "What did you say?" "I hung up on her. Then I blocked her number. Then I lay awake all night wondering if I'm being selfish. If staying here, being around you and Emma, is putting you both in danger. You're not putting us in danger. Your parents are. It's the same result. No, it's not. You didn't threaten anyone. You didn't make any demands. You just asked for help, and I said yes. That's not on you. Lily turned to look at him. What if they actually do it? What if they actually try to take Emma? Then I fight. I get a lawyer I can't afford, and I fight like hell, and I prove they're full of it. And if you can't prove it, if they're good enough liars, then I still fight. Because Emma is my daughter, and nobody gets to take her from me just because they're rich and connected. He reached over, took Lily's hand. But it won't come to that. They're bluffing. Both of them. They want you scared enough to come running back, and they're using me as leverage. How do you know they're bluffing? I don't. Not for sure, but I know that if they actually had grounds to take Emma, they would have done it already. They wouldn't waste time with threatening phone calls. Lily squeezed his hand, hard. I should leave. Right now, before this gets worse. I should go back and tell them I'll do whatever they want, and then you and Emma will be safe. Is that what you want? No, but it's what I should want. Those aren't the same thing. I know. They sat there, hands linked, both of them knowing that tomorrow could change everything, and neither of them knowing how to stop it. Finally, Lily stood up. I need air. Can we go somewhere? Anywhere. I just need to get out of this apartment for a few hours. Adrian thought about it. There's a place, about an hour north. Emma loves it. We could make a day of it. What kind of place? You'll see. They packed Emma into the car, rain jacket, boots, her stuffed elephant, and drove north along the highway with the rain still coming down. Emma fell asleep in the back seat after 20 minutes, and Lily stared out the window, watching the city give way to suburbs, give way to something greener. Where are we going? She asked again. Patience. 40 minutes later, Adrian pulled off the highway onto a smaller road that wound through trees. Another 10 minutes, and they were at a state park that was mostly empty because of the weather. He parked near a pavilion and woke Emma up gently. We're here, baby. Where's here? The good place. Emma's face lit up. She knew this place. They walked down a trail that was muddy from the rain but manageable, Emma splashing in every puddle like it was her job. Lily picked her way carefully, trying not to ruin Rachel's borrowed shoes, but after about 5 minutes she gave up and just started walking normally, letting the mud happen. The trail opened up to a clearing with a view of a lake, gray and choppy, under the rain. There was a small covered picnic area, and Adrian led them there, shaking off the worst of the water. This is it? Lily asked. This is it. Why here? Because when Sarah left, I used to drive out here with Emma every weekend. She was too young to remember, but I needed somewhere to go that wasn't the apartment, somewhere I could just breathe. He looked out at the lake. It helped, still does. Emma was already running around the picnic area, narrating an elaborate game involving her elephant and an imaginary dragon. Lily sat down on one of the benches, and Adrian sat next to her. It's quiet, Lily said. Yeah, I like it. They sat there watching Emma play, the rain a steady rhythm on the roof above them. After a while, Lily spoke. When I was a kid, my parents used to take me to this house in the Hamptons every summer. Big place, right on the water. I hated it. All these people coming through, parties and dinners and networking events disguised as social gatherings. I'd sneak out to the beach early in the morning before anyone else was awake and just sit there listening to the waves. Those were the only times I felt like I could think clearly. Why'd you stop going? My mother caught me one morning, said I was being antisocial, said I needed to be inside making connections, not wasting time staring at the ocean. Lily pulled her knees up to her chest. I was 14. I stopped sneaking out after that, started doing what I was supposed to do, and somewhere along the way I forgot what the ocean sounded like when nobody was talking over it. You can remember again, it's not too late. Feels like it sometimes. That's just fear talking. Emma ran over, elephant in hand, breathless. Daddy, the dragon wants to know if we brought snacks. The dragon has excellent timing. Adrian pulled out the bag of crackers and apple slices he'd grabbed before they left. Emma took them seriously and ran back to her game. She's amazing, Lily said. You know that, right? You're raising an amazing kid. I'm trying. You're doing more than trying. You're actually doing it, all by yourself. I don't think I could do that. You could if you had to. I'm not sure. I can barely take care of myself. That's not true. You left Marcus. You left your entire life. That takes guts. Or stupidity, still haven't decided which. They stayed at the park until the rain finally stopped, late afternoon sun breaking through the clouds and turning everything gold and green. Emma was soaked and muddy and happy, and Lily had completely ruined Rachel's shoes, and Adrian felt more relaxed than he had in days. On the drive back, Emma fell asleep again, and Lily turned to Adrian. Thank you for this, for getting me out of my head for a few hours. Any time. Tomorrow's going to be bad, isn't it? Probably. I'm glad you're coming with me. Where else would I be? They got back to the apartment as the sun was setting. Rachel met them in the hallway, took one look at her destroyed shoes, and laughed. I see you had an adventure. I'm so sorry, Lily said. I'll replace them. Don't worry about it. They were old anyway. Rachel looked at Adrian. Can I talk to you for a second? They stepped into the hallway while Lily took Emma inside to get cleaned up. Rachel's expression turned serious. There was a woman here earlier, asking about you? What kind of woman? Expensive looking. Designer suit, fancy car. Said she was doing a welfare check on Emma. Adrian's blood went cold. What did you tell her? That Emma is fine and you're a great dad and she could mind her own business. Rachel crossed her arms. She didn't like that. Started asking about who's been staying with you, if there's been any concerning behavior, if Emma's been upset or acting different. What did you say? I told her Emma's been her normal, happy self, and that you have a friend staying over which is none of her concern. Rachel paused. Adrian, what's going on? Who was that woman? Someone trying to make trouble where there isn't any. Is this about Lily? About her family? Yeah. Are you in over your head? Adrian thought about how to answer that. Probably, but I don't know how to not be at this point. Rachel studied him for a long moment. Just be careful. Emma needs you. Don't do anything that puts her at risk. I won't. You say that, but you've got that look. The one you had right before you proposed to Sarah. Like you're jumping off a cliff and hoping there's water at the bottom. There was water last time. Yeah, and you almost drowned. Adrian didn't have a good response to that. Rachel sighed. I'm not trying to be harsh. I just don't want to see you get hurt again. Or worse, see Emma get hurt. I know, I'm being careful. Okay, but if you need help, if any of this gets too big, you call me. Don't try to handle it alone. After Rachel left, Adrian went back inside to find Lily helping Emma out of her muddy clothes, both of them laughing about something. The scene was so domestic, so normal, that it physically hurt to look at it. That night, after Emma was in bed, Lily sat down next to Adrian on the couch, not across from him. Next to him, close enough that he could feel her warmth. Tomorrow, she said, when we go to the house, I need you to promise me something. What? If my father is there, if he says anything about Emma, or threatens you, or anything like that, I need you to promise you'll leave. Take Emma and go, and let me handle it. I'm not leaving you alone with him. Adrian, no. We go together, or we don't go at all. That's not fair. This is my mess. You shouldn't have to... Stop. Just stop. He turned to face her. You're not alone in this anymore. I know you're used to handling everything yourself, to protecting everyone else at your own expense. But that's not how this works. We're in this together, both of us. But Emma stays with Rachel tomorrow. We already talked about it. It's just you and me. Lily's eyes filled with tears. Why are you so good to me? Because you deserve someone to be good to you. How many times do I have to say that before you believe it? Maybe a few more. She leaned into him then, her head on his shoulder, and Adrian wrapped an arm around her. They sat like that for a long time, not talking, just breathing in sync while the city noise filtered through the windows. I'm scared, Lily whispered. Me too. What if everything falls apart tomorrow? Then we figure it out, together. You keep saying that, because I mean it. She pulled back just enough to look at him, and Adrian saw something in her expression that made his breath catch. Want. Need. The same thing he'd been fighting since the night she showed up at his door. Lily, he said quietly. Don't. Don't what? Don't look at me like that. Not tonight. Not when we're both scared and tomorrow's going to be hell. What if I want to? Want to what? Look at you like this. Want you like this. Lily, she kissed him, just leaned in and kissed him, and for one perfect second Adrian forgot every reason this was a bad idea. Her lips were soft and she tasted like the coffee she'd been drinking, and her hand came up to his face, gentle, asking. He pulled back. "We can't," he said, even though every part of him was screaming to pull her closer. "Why not?" "Because you're scared and looking for comfort, and I won't be that for you. I won't be the thing you regret." "What if you're not? What if this is real?" "Then it'll still be real tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that." He took her hand, brought it to his lips, kissed her palm gently. "I want this, Lily. I want you. But I want you sure. I want you choosing me because you know what you're choosing, not because you're running from something else." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I hate that you're right. I know. I hate that you're making me wait. I know that too." She pulled her hand back, wiped at her face. Okay, tomorrow we get my things. We face my father. We deal with whatever comes, and then we figure out what this is. Deal. But Adrian? Yeah? Just so you know, I'm not running from something else anymore. I'm running toward something, toward you, toward this. I might not be sure about a lot of things right now, but I'm sure about that. Adrian didn't trust himself to speak. He just nodded, and Lily stood up, heading toward the pull-out couch. "Good night, Adrian." "Good night." He went to his room but didn't sleep. Just lay there listening to Lily moving around in the living room, settling in, going quiet. At some point past midnight, he heard her crying, soft and muffled, like she was trying not to wake him. He wanted to go to her, wanted to hold her and promise everything would be okay. Instead, he stayed where he was, giving her space to feel whatever she needed to feel. Sunday morning arrived too fast. Adrian woke up to gray skies and a text from Rachel saying Emma was already at her place, ready for whatever adventures the day brought. He made coffee with shaking hands, poured 2 cups, took one to Lily. She was already awake, already dressed in the clothes Rachel had lent her, already looking like she was preparing for battle. "Ready?" he asked. "No, but let's go anyway." They drove across town in silence, the morning quiet, streets mostly empty. Adrian's GPS led them to a neighborhood he'd only ever seen in magazines. Gates, manicured lawns, houses that could fit his entire building 3 times over. Lily directed him through the gates with a code she typed from memory, and then they were pulling up to a house that looked more like a museum than a home. "That's it," Lily said, her voice hollow. The driveway was empty, no cars, no sign of life. "Your father still at golf?" Adrian asked. "Should be. He never misses Sunday morning. It's sacred to him." They got out of the car and Adrian followed Lily to the front door. She had a key on her keychain and her hand trembled as she unlocked it. The house was silent. Massive. Everything was white and cream and expensive. The kind of place where you were afraid to touch anything. Lily stood in the entryway, frozen. "Lily," Adrian said gently, "I grew up here. 28 years in this house, and I never felt like I belonged." "Where's your room?" "Upstairs, 2nd floor, end of the hall." They climbed the stairs, their footsteps echoing. Lily's room was the only space in the house that felt lived in, but even it was too perfect, too curated, like a display in a furniture store. "I need my documents first," Lily said. "They're in the safe in my closet." She moved with purpose now, pulling clothes out of the way, revealing a wall safe hidden behind a rack of dresses. She dialed the combination, opened it, pulled out a folder thick with papers. "Birth certificate, social security card, passport, everything," she said, clutching the folder to her chest. "Okay, now clothes." She started grabbing things from her closet, jeans, sweaters, nothing fancy. Adrian found a suitcase and started packing what she handed him. They worked quickly, efficiently, both of them listening for the sound of a car in the driveway. They were almost done when Lily stopped. "There's one more thing I need," she said. "What?" "In my father's study. There's a box. My grandmother's jewelry. She left it to me when she died. My mother keeps it in my father's safe because she doesn't trust me with it. Lily, we don't have time. It's all I have left of her, the only person in my family who ever actually loved me." She was already moving toward the door. "I'll be quick." Adrian followed her down the hall to a study that screamed power, leather chairs, massive desk, walls lined with books that probably had never been read. Lily went straight to a painting on the wall, swung it open to reveal another safe. "Do you know the combination?" Adrian asked. "My birthday. He's not creative." She spun the dial, opened the safe, reached inside. That's when they heard it, a car in the driveway. Lily's face went white. "He's home early. Grab the box, now." She pulled out a small wooden box, shoved it into the bag Adrian was carrying. They heard the front door open, heard footsteps. "Lily?" Harrison Monroe's voice echoed through the house. "I know you're here. Your car's in the driveway." Lily looked at Adrian, panic in her eyes. "Backstairs," she whispered. "This way." They moved quickly but quietly, but Harrison was already climbing the main staircase. They made it to the back stairs, started down, and were almost to the first floor when Harrison appeared at the top of the stairs behind them. "Stop right there," he said. His voice was cold, controlled, nothing like the bluster on the phone. This was worse. Adrian kept moving, keeping himself between Lily and her father. They made it to the kitchen, heading for the back door. "If you walk out that door, you're making the biggest mistake of your life," Harrison called after them. Lily stopped, turned. "The biggest mistake of my life was listening to you," she said. "For 28 years I did everything you wanted. I dated who you told me to date. I studied what you told me to study. I got engaged to who you told me to marry. And you repaid that by letting Marcus cheat on me for 6 months because it was convenient for your business deals. You don't understand the situation. I understand perfectly. You never cared about my happiness. You cared about the merger, about the optics, about everything except me." Harrison descended the stairs, his face darkening. "You ungrateful—" "Don't." Adrian stepped forward. "Don't talk to her like that." Harrison's attention snapped to him. "You. This is all your fault. You manipulated my daughter when she was vulnerable. I gave her a safe place when everyone else failed her. You took advantage. I respected her, which is apparently more than anyone in this family ever did." Harrison moved closer, and Adrian saw where Lily got her height. Harrison was 6'3", broad-shouldered, the kind of man used to intimidating people into submission. "You have no idea what you've gotten yourself into," Harrison said quietly. "You think you can just walk into my daughter's life and play hero? You think this ends well for you?" "I think it ends with Lily making her own choices. For the first time in her life. She's not capable of making her own choices. She never has been. She needs guidance, structure, people who know what's best for her." "She's standing right here," Lily said, her voice shaking but clear, "and she can speak for herself. And what she's saying is that she's done. With you, with Marcus, with all of it." Harrison's expression shifted, and Adrian saw something dangerous there. "If you walk out that door with him, I will destroy him. I will take his daughter. I will make sure he never works again. I will ruin him. Is that what you want?" "You won't do any of those things," Lily said. "Won't I?" "No. Because I'll go to every newspaper, every blog, every media outlet that will listen, and I'll tell them exactly what kind of family the Monroes really are. I'll tell them about Marcus and Victoria. I'll tell them about how you knew and let it happen. I'll tell them everything." Harrison laughed, but there was no humor in it. "No one will believe you. Maybe not, but they'll listen. And that's enough to damage your reputation, your business deals, everything you've built." Lily straightened her shoulders. "I learned from the best, Dad. You taught me that reputation is everything, so let's see how yours holds up under scrutiny." The silence that followed was absolute. Harrison and Lily stared at each other, and Adrian saw the exact moment Harrison realized he'd lost. "Get out," Harrison said quietly. "Both of you, and don't come back." "Wasn't planning on it," Lily said. They left through the back door, practically running to the car. Adrian threw the bags in the trunk, and they pulled out of the driveway fast enough to leave rubber on the pavement. They made it 3 blocks before Lily started shaking. Adrian pulled over, and she collapsed against him, sobbing so hard she couldn't breathe. "It's okay," he said, holding her. "It's over. You did it." "I just burned every bridge I had." "No. You just stopped setting yourself on fire to keep other people warm." She cried until she couldn't anymore, and then she just sat there, exhausted, wrung out. "Where do we go now?" she asked. "Wherever you want." "I don't know where that is." "Then we figure it out, together." Adrian pulled back onto the road, heading back across town, back to the apartment that was too small and too cramped, but was starting to feel like something close to home. They drove in silence for the first 10 minutes. Lily staring out the window like she was trying to memorize the route away from her old life. Adrian kept checking the rearview mirror, half expecting to see Harrison's car following them, but the road behind them stayed empty. When they pulled up to the apartment building, Lily didn't move, just sat there with her hands in her lap, looking at the chipped paint on the exterior wall like it was the most fascinating thing she'd ever seen. "You okay?" Adrian asked. "I don't know what I am." "That's fair. I just told my father I'd ruin his reputation if he came after you. I threatened him. I've never threatened anyone in my life." "You were protecting yourself." "There's nothing wrong with that." "It doesn't feel like protection. It feels like I just detonated a bomb and now I'm waiting to see what survives the blast." Adrian turned off the engine. "Do you regret it?" Lily thought about that for a long moment. "No, I'm terrified, but I don't regret it." "Does that make sense?" Complete sense. They carried her things upstairs, 3 trips to get everything. Rachel met them in the hallway with Emma, who immediately launched herself at Lily like they'd been separated for weeks instead of hours. "You're back! Did you fight any dragons?" "Something like that," Lily said, hugging her. "Did you win?" "I think so. Ask me again tomorrow." Rachel looked between them, clearly reading the exhaustion on both their faces. "Everything go okay?" "Define okay," Adrian said. "That good, huh?" "We got what we needed. That's what matters." After Rachel left, they unpacked Lily's things in a silence that felt fragile, like speaking too loud might shatter something important. Emma helped by pulling clothes out of the suitcase and refolding them in ways that made no sense, narrating the whole process. "This shirt is blue. Blue is my second favorite color. Purple is my first favorite. Daddy, did you know purple is made from red and blue?" "I did know that, baby." "Lily, what's your favorite color?" Lily looked up from the suitcase, caught off guard by the question. "I don't know. I don't think I've ever really thought about it." "How can you not know your favorite color? Everyone has a favorite color. I guess I've spent so long being told what to like that I forgot to figure out what I actually like." Emma considered this with the gravity of a philosopher. "That's sad. We should fix it. We should find your favorite color." "How do we do that?" "We look at all the colors, and you tell me which one makes you happy." For the next 20 minutes, Emma dragged Lily around the apartment, pointing at different colored objects, demanding verdicts. The blue couch, the yellow dish towel, the green stuffed dinosaur. Adrian watched from the kitchen, making sandwiches nobody had asked for, but everyone would probably need eventually, and felt something warm and painful expand in his chest. "What about this?" Emma held up a crayon, burnt orange. Lily took it, studied it like it held the secrets of the universe. "Yeah, I think maybe this one." "Orange? That's a good color. It's happy." "It is, isn't it?" That night, after Emma went to bed, Adrian and Lily sat on the couch with beers Adrian had found in the back of his fridge, probably from a barbecue 6 months ago. They were warm and slightly flat, but neither of them cared. "What happens now?" Lily asked. "That's up to you. I need to find a place to live. I can't stay on your couch forever." "Why not?" "Because you have a life, Adrian. A routine. A daughter who needs stability. I can't just move in and disrupt everything." "You're not disrupting anything." "I'm absolutely disrupting everything." "In the best way, maybe, but still." Adrian set his beer down on the coffee table. "What if I don't want you to leave?" "Don't do that. Don't make this harder than it already is." "I'm serious. What if you stayed? Not forever, not with any pressure, but just stayed. Until you figure out what's next." "Adrian, I have space. The couch is already pulled out. Emma loves having you here, and honestly..." He looked at her. "I love having you here too. The apartment feels less empty. I feel less empty." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "That's not fair. You're supposed to be practical. You're supposed to tell me I need to stand on my own 2 feet and figure out my life." "Why? Who made that rule?" "I don't know. Society? Common sense?" "Society doesn't live here. And common sense says when something works, you don't throw it away just because it doesn't fit some arbitrary timeline. What if I stay and then I leave? What if I hurt you? What if I hurt Emma?" "Then you do. People get hurt. But that doesn't mean we stop trying." Lily drank her warm, flat beer and stared at the ceiling. "You're either the wisest person I've ever met or the most reckless. I still haven't figured out which." Why can't it be both? Because that would be too complicated. Life's complicated. Might as well embrace it. They sat there for a while, not talking, just existing in the same space. Finally, Lily spoke again. I need to get a job. I have some savings, but not enough to live on for more than a few months. And I need to do something. I can't just sit around waiting for my life to start. What do you want to do? I don't know. I studied business because my father told me to. I worked at his company for 6 months after college before he decided I was better suited to representing the family at social events. I've never actually figured out what I'm good at. What do you like doing? I used to paint in college before my mother told me it was a waste of time. So paint. That's not a job, Adrian. It could be. I can't make a living selling paintings. That's a fantasy. So paint for you, and get a job doing something else until the painting takes off. Or don't paint at all. Just do something that's yours. Something nobody else told you to do. Lily looked at him. You make it sound simple. It's not simple, but it's possible. The next morning, Monday, arrived with Adrian's alarm at 6. He stumbled into the kitchen to find Lily already up, dressed in clothes she'd retrieved from her father's house, actual clothes that fit her, not his sweatpants, and making coffee. You're up early, he said. Couldn't sleep. Too much in my head. Want to talk about it? Not yet. Maybe later. Adrian got ready for work, the routine so ingrained he could do it half asleep. Emma woke up grumpy, which meant it took 20 minutes to convince her that yes, she had to wear pants to preschool, no, she couldn't bring 17 stuffed animals, and yes, she had to brush her teeth even though she'd brushed them last night. By the time they were all ready to leave, Adrian was running 10 minutes late, and Emma had somehow gotten syrup in her hair despite not eating anything with syrup in it. I can take her, Lily said suddenly. Adrian stopped mid-search for his keys. What? To preschool. I can take her. You're late. I have nothing else to do. Where is it? You don't have to. I want to, unless you don't trust me with her. It's not about trust. I just don't want you to feel obligated. Adrian, let me help, please. I need to feel useful. He looked at her, saw the need in her expression, and understood. Okay. It's 15 minutes north on Maple Street. Big yellow building. You can't miss it. Drop-off is in the back. Got it. Emma, you okay going with Lily? Emma, who'd been watching this exchange with interest, nodded enthusiastically. Can we listen to the dinosaur song in the car? If Lily knows the dinosaur song. I'll learn it, Lily said. Adrian left them singing about velociraptors in Lily's car, the one they'd retrieved from the coffee shop parking lot yesterday, and drove to work feeling strange. Good strange. Like something had shifted and he wasn't quite sure what it meant yet. Work was the usual chaos. Monday morning rush, everyone needing caffeine immediately, the espresso machine deciding to act up, just to make his life harder. His coworker Jamie gave him a look when he finally clocked in. You look like hell. Thanks, I try. Seriously, man, you good? You've been weird lately. Define weird. Distracted, like your head's somewhere else. Adrian thought about Lily and Emma singing in the car, about the way his apartment felt less lonely with someone else in it, about how much had changed in less than a week. Just dealing with some personal stuff, he said. The good kind or the bad kind? Still figuring that out. At lunch, his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. Mr. Cole. A woman's voice, professional and cold. This is Patricia Fielding from Child Protective Services. We've received a complaint regarding your daughter, Emma. I need to schedule a home visit to discuss some concerns that have been raised. Adrian's blood went cold. What concerns? I can't discuss the details over the phone, but I need to come by your residence within the next 48 hours to conduct an evaluation. An evaluation of what? Of your living situation and Emma's welfare. It's standard procedure when complaints are filed. Who filed a complaint? I can't disclose that information. Can you be available tomorrow afternoon? Say, 2 o'clock? Adrian's mind raced. Harrison Monroe. Or Catherine. One of them had actually done it, actually called CPS. I can be available, he said, keeping his voice steady even though panic was clawing at his throat. Good. I'll see you tomorrow at 2. Please ensure Emma is present. The line went dead. Adrian stood there in the break room, phone in his hand, trying to breathe normally. This was happening. They were actually trying to take Emma. He called Lily. She answered on the second ring. Hey. Emma's at preschool, safe and sound. She showed me her classroom and introduced me to her teacher and explained very seriously that I need to pick her up at exactly 3 o'clock or she'll worry. Lily, what's wrong? CPS just called. They're coming tomorrow at 2 to evaluate the home. Someone filed a complaint. Silence on the other end. Then, it was my parents. Yeah. I'm so sorry. Adrian, I'm so sorry. This is my fault. If I'd just gone back, if I'd... Stop. This is not your fault. This is them being exactly who they've always been. What do? We prepare. We make sure the apartment is clean. We make sure everything is perfect. We make sure there's no possible reason for them to take Emma. I'll come home, right now. I'll help. You don't have to... Yes, I do. I'm coming home. She hung up before he could argue. Adrian finished his shift in a daze, going through the motions, making drinks, taking orders, his mind entirely elsewhere. When he finally got home, Lily was already there, and the apartment looked like a cleaning crew had gone through it. Everything was organized, sanitized, put away. Even Emma's toys were neatly arranged in their bins. You didn't have to do all this, Adrian said. Yes, I did. This is happening because of me. The least I can do is help fix it. It's not your responsibility to fix it. Adrian, they're using me as leverage to take Emma from you. That makes it absolutely my responsibility. Emma came running from her room, oblivious to the tension. Daddy, Lily picked me up from school and we got ice cream and she said I could have sprinkles and we talked about colors again and I think maybe I like orange too now like Lily does. Adrian scooped her up. Sounds like you had a good day. The best day. Can Lily pick me up again tomorrow? We'll see, baby. That night, after Emma was asleep, Adrian and Lily sat at the kitchen table going through everything the CPS worker might look at. Food in the fridge? Check. Clean apartment? Check. Emma's room safe and appropriate? Check. Bills paid? Mostly check. There were a few things outstanding, but nothing that screamed neglect. What if they ask about me? Lily said. About why I'm here. We tell them the truth. You're a friend staying temporarily while you figure out your next steps. What if they ask if we're in a relationship? Are we? Lily looked at him. I don't know. Are we? I don't know either, but for tomorrow you're a friend. That's safest. Right, safe. The word hung between them, loaded with everything they weren't saying. I should go, Lily said suddenly. I should pack my things and leave before they come tomorrow. If I'm not here, if there's no evidence of me staying here, they can't use it against you. No. Adrian, no, you're not leaving. You're not running. We faced this together, remember? That's what we said. That was before they involved Emma. Nothing's changed. If you leave now, it proves their point. It makes it look like there was something inappropriate happening. We stay the course. We tell the truth. We trust that the truth is enough. Lily looked like she wanted to argue, but instead she just nodded. Okay, but if this goes wrong, if they try to take Emma because of me, I'll never forgive myself. Then we don't let it go wrong. Tuesday afternoon arrived too fast. Adrian had taken the day off work, which he couldn't afford but didn't have a choice about. Emma was home from preschool, playing in her room, unaware that a stranger was coming to evaluate whether her daddy was fit to keep her. At exactly 2 o'clock, there was a knock on the door. Patricia Fielding was exactly what Adrian had expected. Mid-50s, sensible shoes, a clipboard, and an expression that gave away nothing. She smiled at Emma when she saw her, which Adrian took as a good sign. Mr. Cole, thank you for meeting with me. And this must be Emma. Emma, who had been coached extensively on being polite, offered her hand. Nice to meet you. Would you like to see my room? I would love to see your room. Patricia spent the next hour going through everything. Emma's room, the kitchen, the bathroom. She asked questions about Adrian's work schedule, about childcare arrangements, about Emma's routine. She watched how Adrian interacted with Emma, how Emma responded to him. She wrote things on her clipboard that Adrian couldn't see and wished desperately he could. Lily had made herself scarce, staying in Adrian's room with the door closed. But Patricia noticed. Is there someone else living here? Adrian had prepared for this. A friend is staying temporarily. She's going through a difficult time and needed a safe place to land. I see. Can I speak with her? Of course. Lily emerged, composed, polite. She shook Patricia's hand and sat down at the kitchen table. How long have you been staying here? Patricia asked. About a week. And your relationship with Mr. Cole? We're friends. He's been kind enough to let me stay while I figure out my next steps. What happened that you needed somewhere to stay? Lily didn't hesitate. I left my fiancé after I found out he'd been unfaithful. My family wasn't supportive of that decision, so I needed space to think clearly. Adrian offered to help. I see. And you're comfortable with a child in the home? Emma is wonderful. Adrian is an excellent father. Have you noticed anything concerning about how he cares for her? The opposite. I've watched him put Emma first in every decision he makes. She's loved, she's safe, she's happy. If every child had a parent like Adrian, the world would be a better place. Patricia wrote something down. Then she turned back to Adrian. Mr. Cole, I need to ask you some direct questions. Have you ever used corporal punishment with Emma? No, never. Have you ever left her alone in the apartment? Never for more than the time it takes to take out the trash. And even then, I can see the dumpster from the window. Has Emma ever been injured in your care? She fell off the couch once when she was 2 and got a bruise on her forehead. I took her to the pediatrician to make sure she was okay. They documented it. That's the worst thing that's happened. Has anyone else ever raised concerns about your parenting? No. You can ask her preschool teachers, ask our neighbors, ask anyone who knows us. Patricia looked at Emma, who was playing with her elephant and apparently ignoring the entire conversation. Emma, sweetheart, can I ask you some questions? Emma looked up. Okay. Do you like living here with your daddy? Yes, he's the best daddy. Does he ever yell at you? Sometimes when I don't listen, but then we talk about it and I say sorry and he says sorry and we hug. Does anyone ever hurt you here? No, Daddy says hurting is never okay. Are you happy? Emma thought about this very seriously. Mostly, yes. Sometimes I'm sad about not having a mommy, but Daddy says that's okay to be sad about, and we can talk about it whenever I want. Patricia wrote more notes. Then she stood up. Thank you both for your time. I'll be submitting my report within the week. And, Adrian asked, unable to help himself. And I'll be recommending that this case be closed. I see no evidence of neglect or abuse. Emma is clearly well cared for and loved. Whatever concerns were raised appear to be unfounded. The relief was so intense that Adrian had to sit down. Lily's hand found his shoulder, squeezing. Thank you, Adrian managed. Don't thank me, I'm just doing my job. Patricia paused at the door. For what it's worth, Mr. Cole, whoever filed that complaint was wasting everyone's time. You're doing fine. Better than fine. After she left, Adrian pulled Emma into a hug so tight she protested. Daddy, you're squishing me. Sorry, baby. I just love you a lot. I love you too. Can I go back to playing now? Yeah, go ahead. Emma ran back to her room and Adrian finally let himself fall apart. Lily sat next to him on the couch, not saying anything, just being present while he tried to process the fact that it was over. They'd tried and failed. They didn't win, Lily said quietly. Not this time. They won't try again. My father doesn't like losing. He'll move on to a different strategy. What strategy? I don't know, but he won't stop, not until I go back. Then we make sure he has no leverage. Lily looked at him. How? I don't know yet, but we figure it out. That night, Emma insisted Lily read her bedtime story. Adrian stood in the doorway watching Lily do all the voices, watching Emma laugh, watching something that looked dangerously close to a family taking shape. After Emma was asleep, Lily found him on the couch. I've been thinking, she said. About? About what you said, about staying, about figuring things out. And I want to, but not like this. Not with me living on your couch and disrupting your life and putting Emma at risk. You're not putting Emma at risk. We just proved that. This time, but what about next time? What happens when my father tries something else? We deal with it together. Lily sat down next to him. I need to be able to stand on my own. I need to get a job, an apartment, a life that's mine. Not because I don't want to be here, but because I need to know I can survive without depending on someone else. Okay, so do that. And after I do, after I have my own place and my own job and I'm standing on my own 2 feet, can we try this? Actually try this? Adrian looked at her. Try what? Us. Whatever this is between us. Can we see if it's real? It's already real, Lily. You know what I mean. Yeah, I do. He reached over, took her hand. After you get settled. After you're sure. We can try whatever you want. That could take months. I've already told you. I can wait. You're infuriating. I've been told that. Lily leaned her head on his shoulder, and they sat there in the quiet of his small apartment with Emma asleep down the hall and both of their futures uncertain, and neither of them knowing what came next. But for the first time in a long time, that uncertainty felt like possibility instead of fear. 3 months passed in a blur of small changes that added up to something bigger than either of them had expected. Lily found a job first, nothing glamorous, just a position at an art supply store downtown that paid enough to cover rent and groceries. The owner was a woman in her 60s who'd spent 40 years teaching high school art before retiring and opening the shop, and she didn't care about Lily's last name or her family connections. She cared that Lily showed up on time and knew the difference between cold press and hot press watercolor paper. You paint? The owner, Margaret, had asked during the interview. I used to, in college. Why'd you stop? Someone told me it wasn't practical. Margaret had looked at her over reading glasses that hung on a chain around her neck. Let me guess. Family? How did you know? Because people who love you don't tell you to stop doing things that make you happy. They tell you to figure out how to do more of it. Margaret had hired her on the spot. The apartment came next. Nothing fancy. A studio on the 3rd floor of a building 6 blocks from Adrian's place. The shower leaked, the radiator clanked, and the previous tenant had painted one wall an aggressive shade of purple that Lily decided to keep because it made her smile. She furnished it with things from thrift stores and garage sales, learning to appreciate the hunt, the negotiation, the satisfaction of making something work with what she had instead of what money could buy. Emma helped her pick out curtains at a discount store, very seriously evaluating different patterns before declaring that the ones with clouds were best, because clouds are friendly and won't be scary at night. Adrian helped her move in, carrying boxes up 3 flights of stairs while Lily directed traffic and Emma supervised from her position, sitting on the one chair Lily owned. This is perfect, Lily said, standing in the middle of her new space. It's smaller than my apartment, Adrian said. I know, but it's mine. She started painting again that week. Nothing serious at first, just messing around with supplies she got from the store at her employee discount. But then she couldn't stop. She painted at night after work, on weekends, any spare moment she could find. She painted the lake from the state park, Emma's elephant, the view from her window. She painted her father's face, and then painted over it with orange, layer after layer, until there was nothing left but color. Margaret saw the paintings when Lily brought them to work one day, unable to leave them at home because she needed someone else to confirm they were real. These are good, Margaret said, studying the one of the lake. Really good. You should show them. Show them where? There's a community gallery 2 streets over. They do open calls for local artists twice a year. Next one's in 3 weeks. I'm not a real artist. You make art, don't you? That makes you an artist. The real part is just ego talking. Lily submitted 3 paintings to the gallery show. All 3 got accepted. She sold one on opening night to a lawyer from uptown who said it reminded him of his childhood. The money wasn't life-changing, $300, but Lily cried anyway because someone had looked at something she made and decided it was worth keeping. Adrian came to the opening with Emma, who wore her fanciest dress and told everyone who would listen that her friend Lily was famous now. They stood in front of Lily's paintings, and Adrian didn't say anything for a long time. What are you thinking? Lily finally asked. I'm thinking I was right about you. Right about what? That you were worth waiting for. During those 3 months, they saw each other almost every day. Lily picked Emma up from preschool twice a week. Adrian stopped by the art supply store on his lunch breaks just to say hi. They had dinner together most nights, sometimes at his place, sometimes at hers, once at a Thai restaurant where Emma insisted on ordering the spiciest thing on the menu and immediately regretted it. They didn't kiss. They didn't cross that line Adrian had drawn, but the wanting was there, constant and patient, waiting for the right moment. Harrison Monroe tried twice more to cause trouble. First, he sent a lawyer with a cease and desist letter claiming Lily had stolen family property when she took her grandmother's jewelry. Lily sent back copies of her grandmother's will, notarized and clear, leaving everything to her granddaughter specifically. The lawyer didn't contact her again. Then Harrison tried to freeze Lily's trust fund, a chunk of money her grandmother had left her that she couldn't access until she was 30. He claimed she was mentally unfit to manage her own finances. Lily hired a lawyer she couldn't afford with money she'd saved from selling paintings and 2 months of paychecks. The judge took one look at the case, asked Harrison's lawyer if they were seriously wasting the court's time with this, and dismissed it. After that, Harrison went quiet. Catherine called once, leaving a voicemail that Lily deleted without listening to. Marcus got engaged to someone else, and Lily felt nothing when she heard the news except mild relief that it wasn't her problem anymore. She rebuilt slowly, carefully, learning who she was when nobody was watching. She learned she liked horror movies and hated romantic comedies. She learned she was terrible at cooking but excellent at assembling sandwiches. She learned she was stronger than she'd thought and more scared than she wanted to admit, but that being scared didn't mean she had to stop moving forward. Emma turned 5 in October. Adrian threw a party at his apartment with decorations from the dollar store and a cake he'd attempted to make himself that collapsed in the middle but tasted fine. Lily came with a present she'd wrapped badly and a painting she'd made of Emma and her elephant having an adventure on the moon. "This is the best present ever," Emma declared, hugging it to her chest and getting frosting on the canvas. "I can make you another one if that gets ruined," Lily said. "No, I like this one. It's special because you made it and because it has my frosting on it now." After the party, after Emma crashed hard from sugar and excitement, after the other kids and their parents had gone home, Adrian and Lily cleaned up together in comfortable silence. "She loves you," Adrian said, scraping frosting off a plate. "I love her too." "That scare you?" "Terrifies me. What if I mess it up?" "Then you mess it up and you fix it. That's how it works." Lily threw a wadded-up napkin at him. "You and your practical wisdom. It's annoying." "You like it." "I really do." They finished cleaning, and Lily should have gone home to her own apartment, to her own bed, to her own space that she'd fought so hard to claim. Instead, she sat down on Adrian's couch and watched him move around his kitchen, putting away leftover cake, wiping down counters, doing all the small domestic things that had become so familiar over the past few months. "Adrian?" "Yeah?" "I think I'm ready." He stopped mid-wipe, turned to look at her. "Ready for what?" "For whatever comes next. With us." She stood up, crossed the small distance between them. "I have my own place. I have a job I actually like. I'm painting again. I stood up to my father and survived it. I'm standing on my own 2 feet. You are. So I'm ready. If you still want to try this. If you still want me." Adrian set down the dish towel very carefully. "I've wanted you since the first time you walked into the coffee shop and ordered a cappuccino extra hot with no foam. That was 2 years and 4 months ago. I counted. That's creepy." "I know. It's also kind of sweet." "I was hoping you'd focus on that part." Lily stepped closer, close enough to see the flecks of gold in his eyes, close enough to feel the warmth coming off him. "Can I kiss you now? Or are you going to tell me I need to wait another 3 months to be really sure?" "I think you've waited long enough." She kissed him, and it was nothing like the desperate kiss she'd tried to give him months ago when she was running from everything. This was different. This was choosing instead of escaping. This was want instead of need. This was both of them knowing exactly what they were doing and doing it anyway. Adrian pulled her closer, one hand in her hair, the other at her waist, and Lily felt something settle in her chest that she'd been missing her entire life. Safety. Real safety. Not the kind that came from money or status or doing what everyone expected, the kind that came from being seen, really seen, and loved anyway. They broke apart, both breathing hard, and Adrian rested his forehead against hers. "So what now?" he asked. "I don't know. I've never done this before. The real version, I mean." "Neither have I. Sarah and I were always a disaster. This is new for me too." "So we figure it out together." "Yeah, we figure it out together." They took it slow, which was probably the smartest thing they'd ever done. Lily kept her apartment. Adrian kept his routines with Emma. They had dinner together, went to movies, had long conversations about nothing and everything. They fought once, badly, about something stupid that Lily couldn't even remember a week later. Adrian walked away mid-argument to cool down, and Lily panicked, thinking he was leaving for good. He came back 20 minutes later with apologies and takeout, and they worked through it like adults instead of whatever she and Marcus had been doing. Emma adjusted to the shift from Daddy's friend Lily to Daddy's girlfriend Lily, with the easy acceptance of a 5-year-old who'd already decided Lily was part of the family months ago. "Does this mean you're going to marry Daddy?" she asked one night while Lily was reading her a bedtime story. "I don't know, sweetheart. We're taking things slow." "Why? Don't you love him?" "I do love him, very much. And he loves you. I can tell because he smiles different now, like he's happy on the inside instead of just pretending." Lily's throat got tight. "He smiles different?" "Yeah. Before you came, he smiled with just his mouth. Now he smiles with his eyes, too." After Emma fell asleep, Lily found Adrian in the kitchen washing dishes. "Your daughter thinks we should get married." Adrian dropped the plate he was holding. It hit the soapy water with a splash. "She said that?" "She asked if we were going to. I said I didn't know." "What did she say to that?" "She said you smile different now, with your eyes instead of just your mouth." Adrian turned off the water, dried his hands. "She's very observant." "Is she right? Are you happier?" "Yeah, I am." He faced her. "Are you?" "I think I'm happy for the first time in my life. Real happy, not pretend happy. And that's terrifying." "Why terrifying?" "Because now I have something to lose." Adrian crossed to her, pulled her close. "You're not going to lose this. We're not going to lose this. You can't promise that." "No, but I can promise that I'm not going anywhere. That whatever comes, we deal with it together. That I'm choosing this, choosing you, choosing us, every single day. That's a lot of choosing. It's worth it." 6 months after that first kiss, Lily's paintings were in a real gallery show downtown. Not the community gallery this time, but an actual gallery with white walls, and a curator who used words like emerging voice and raw emotional honesty. She sold 4 paintings that night and got a commission for 2 more. Margaret came to the opening and cried, which she blamed on allergies, but everyone knew was pride. Rachel came with her husband and bought a small painting of the lake for their living room. Even some of Lily's old friends showed up, the ones who'd drifted away when she got engaged to Marcus, tentatively reaching out to reconnect. Adrian stood in the corner with Emma on his shoulders so she could see over the crowd, both of them watching Lily talk to potential buyers and art critics and people who wanted to know her story. "She's really good," Emma said. "I knew she was good, but everyone else knows it too now." "She was always good," Adrian said. "She just needed to believe it herself." Near the end of the night, Lily found them and pulled them outside for air. The gallery was stuffy, too many people in too small a space, and she needed a minute. "How are you holding up?" Adrian asked. "I keep waiting for someone to tell me this is a mistake, that I don't belong here." "Nobody's going to tell you that because it's not true." "My father would disagree." "Your father's opinion doesn't matter anymore." Lily leaned against the brick wall of the gallery, watching people walk past on the sidewalk, living their lives, unaware that hers had just shifted into something new. "I saw him today, before the opening." Adrian went still. "What?" "He was at the coffee shop across the street, just sitting there, watching the gallery. I don't think he knew I saw him." "What did you do?" "Nothing. I just looked at him and realized I didn't feel anything. No anger, no hurt, no need for his approval, just nothing." She turned to Adrian. "Is that bad? Should I feel something?" "I think that's exactly what you should feel. Indifference is the opposite of love, not hate. You've moved on." "I really have, haven't I?" "Yeah, you really have." Emma tugged on Lily's sleeve. "Can we go get ice cream to celebrate? You said we could get ice cream after the art show." "I did say that, didn't I?" They went for ice cream, the 3 of them, and sat on a bench watching the city move around them. Emma got chocolate and managed to get it everywhere. Lily got orange sherbet because she'd decided orange was her color and was leaning into it. Adrian got vanilla because he was boring and didn't care who knew it. "This is nice," Emma said, swinging her legs. "All of us together." "It is nice," Lily agreed. "I wish it could be like this all the time." "It kind of is like this all the time," Adrian said. "No, I mean really together. Like a family. Not just Daddy's family and Lily visiting. One family." Adrian and Lily looked at each other over Emma's head. "You've been thinking about this," Adrian said to his daughter. "A lot. Rachel's daughter has a mommy and daddy who live together. And I have a daddy, and I have Lily, but Lily lives in a different apartment, and it would be better if we were all in the same apartment. Emma, I'm not saying you have to get married right now, but maybe soon? Because I'm 5 and I want to be a flower girl before I get too old. Lily started laughing, and Adrian joined in, and Emma looked pleased with herself for making them laugh, even if she wasn't entirely sure what was funny. That night, after they dropped Emma off with Rachel for a sleepover, Adrian and Lily went back to his apartment. They'd been taking things slow physically, too, both of them wanting to get it right, but slow had its limits. Afterward, lying in Adrian's bed, Lily traced patterns on his chest. Emma's right, you know, she said, about being a family. She usually is. It's annoying how smart she is. I want this. All of it. You and Emma, and the life we're building. I want it to be permanent. Adrian rolled onto his side to look at her. Define permanent. I don't know. Moving in together? Getting married? Making it official? Whatever that looks like. You want to marry me? Eventually, when we're ready. I'm not proposing right now. I'm just saying, I could see it. I want to see it. I could see it too. Yeah? Yeah, I started seeing it about 6 months ago when you told Emma that purple dinosaurs were scientifically possible if we just believed hard enough. That's so specific. You were so serious about it, and Emma believed you completely, and I thought, this is it. This is what I want for the rest of my life. Lily kissed him, slow and sweet. We should probably wait a bit longer, though. Make sure we're both really sure. How long? I don't know. Another few months? Until it feels right? Okay. They lasted 5 weeks. Adrian proposed on a Tuesday morning before work, which was the least romantic timing possible, but also somehow perfect. They were in his kitchen, making coffee and toast, and Emma was watching cartoons in the living room, and everything was so normal and good that Adrian couldn't stand it anymore. He didn't have a ring, didn't have a speech prepared. He just turned to Lily and said, "Marry me." Lily looked up from the coffee she was pouring. What? Marry me. Move in here with me and Emma. Be a family with us. Make this permanent. Adrian, it's 7 in the morning. I know, I should have waited, should have planned something better. But I was standing here thinking about how this is my favorite part of the day, just existing in the same space as you, and I realized I don't want to wait anymore. I don't need a few more months to be sure. I'm sure now. Lily set down the coffee pot. You're serious. Completely serious. We should probably talk about this. Make sure we're on the same page about everything. Kids, money, where we live, all of it. We can talk about all of that. But first, I need to know. Will you marry me? Lily looked at him, this man who'd given her a safe place to land and then helped her learn to fly, who'd set boundaries because he respected her enough to wait, who'd chosen her every single day even when it was hard. This man who made terrible jokes and mediocre coffee, and who loved his daughter with a fierceness that made Lily believe in good things again. Yes, she said. Yes, I'll marry you. Emma heard the word marry and came running from the living room. You're getting married? Really? I can be a flower girl? You can absolutely be a flower girl, Lily said. Emma threw her arms around both of them. This is the best day ever, and it's not even my birthday. They got married 4 months later in the same state park where Adrian had taken Lily and Emma when everything was falling apart. Small ceremony, just close friends and Rachel's family and Margaret from the art store. No parents on either side. Adrian's had passed years ago, and Lily's had made their position clear through their silence. Emma was the flower girl, as promised, and took her job extremely seriously. Lily wore a simple dress she'd found at a vintage store. Adrian wore a suit he'd borrowed from Rachel's husband because buying one seemed like a waste of money when they were saving for a bigger apartment. They wrote their own vows. Adrian went first. I promise to make you coffee every morning even though mine is terrible and you deserve better. I promise to believe in your art even when you don't believe in it yourself. I promise to be patient when you're scared and honest when you're lost. I promise to choose you every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And I promise to love you exactly as you are, not as anyone else thinks you should be. Lily cried through her entire response. I promise to show up. For you, for Emma, for this life we're building. I promise to be brave even when I'm terrified. I promise to communicate instead of running away when things get difficult. I promise to keep painting because you taught me that doing what makes me happy isn't selfish, it's necessary. And I promise to love you with the same fierce protectiveness you showed me when I showed up at your door with nothing. You saved me, Adrian. Now let me spend the rest of my life returning the favor. Bais lan dosit. The officiant barely finished the ceremony before Emma announced that they should kiss now because that's what people do at weddings. Everyone laughed, and Adrian kissed Lily while their friends cheered, and it was simple and imperfect and exactly right. They moved into a bigger apartment a month later, a two-bedroom on the ground floor with a small backyard where Emma could play. Lily set up a studio in the second bedroom, and Adrian didn't complain when she got paint on the floor because watching her create was worth any amount of mess. Money was tight. It was always tight. Two modest incomes trying to cover rent and childcare and groceries and all the small emergencies that came with being alive. But they made it work. Lily picked up extra shifts at the art store during holidays. Adrian took on more hours when he could. They learned to cook cheap meals and find free entertainment and make their own fun. Emma thrived. She had two parents now, both of them imperfect, but both of them present. She had a home where people fought sometimes, but always made up. She had stability wrapped in love instead of obligation. And every night, after Emma was in bed, Adrian and Lily would sit on their worn-out couch and talk about their days and their dreams and all the small, ordinary things that made up a life. Sometimes Lily thought about her old life, the money, the status, the ease of having everything handled by someone else. And sometimes she missed it, just a little, on the days when the bills piled up and the stress felt overwhelming. But then she'd look at Adrian making terrible jokes while doing dishes, or watch Emma show her a drawing she'd made at school, or see one of her paintings hanging in their small living room. And she'd remember that she'd traded a comfortable cage for an uncertain freedom. And freedom, even the messy kind, was always worth it. Harrison Monroe died 3 years into their marriage. Heart attack, sudden and final. Catherine called to tell Lily, the first time they'd spoken since everything fell apart. "There's going to be a funeral," Catherine said, her voice brittle. "I assume you won't attend." "You assume correctly." "I see. Well, I suppose that's that then." "I suppose it is." Catherine paused. "Were you happy, choosing him over your family?" Lily looked around her small apartment, at the finger paintings on the fridge, and the half-finished canvas on her easel, and Adrian's coffee mug sitting on the counter. She thought about everything she'd walked away from and everything she'd found instead. "Happier than I ever was with you," she said. "Happier than I thought possible." Catherine hung up without saying goodbye. Lily went to the funeral anyway, in the end. Not for her father, but for the girl she'd been who'd spent 28 years trying to earn his love. She stood in the back of the church, while people who'd never really known Harrison Monroe said nice things about him, and she felt nothing. Not anger, not grief, not vindication. Just a quiet acknowledgement that this chapter was closed. Marcus was there with his new wife, who looked uncomfortable and out of place. He saw Lily and looked away quickly, like eye contact might turn him to stone. Victoria sat with the family, still trying to pretend she belonged. After the service, Catherine approached her in the parking lot. "You came." "I did." "Why?" "Because he was my father. Even if he was a terrible one." Lily adjusted her purse strap. "And because I wanted to be sure it was really over." "Is it? Over?" "Yeah, it is." Catherine looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in years. "You look different, older." "I am older, 3 years older." "No, different in other ways, settled, content." "I'm content." "Was it worth it? Everything you gave up?" Lily thought about how to answer that. "I didn't give up anything worth keeping. I just finally figured out what actually mattered." "And what's that?" "Being loved for who I am instead of what I represent. Building something real instead of maintaining something hollow. Choosing my own path instead of walking one someone else paved." She met Catherine's eyes. "You could have had that too, you know, if you just let me." "I don't know how to be anything other than what I am." "I didn't either, but I learned. It's never too late." Catherine looked like she wanted to say something else, but instead she just nodded and walked away. Lily watched her go, feeling sorry for her in a distant, abstract way. Sorry that Catherine would spend the rest of her life living for appearances instead of authenticity. Sorry that she'd never know what it felt like to be truly seen and loved anyway. Lily drove home to her small apartment where Adrian was making dinner and Emma was doing homework at the kitchen table. She walked in and Emma looked up. "How was the funeral?" "Sad, but okay." "Are you sad?" "A little, but mostly I'm grateful." "For what?" "For this, for all of this." Emma went back to her homework, satisfied with that answer. Adrian caught Lily's eye across the kitchen and smiled, and Lily felt that familiar warmth in her chest that had become as natural as breathing. That night, after Emma was asleep, Lily and Adrian sat on their couch like they did every night. "You okay?" Adrian asked. "Really okay?" "Yeah, I am." Lily curled into his side. "I was thinking today about how different my life could have been. If I'd never knocked on your door, if I'd gone back to my family, if I'd stayed in that world. You would have been miserable. Probably. But I would have been comfortable. Safe, in a way. Safety's overrated." "Is it?" "Yeah, real safety isn't about avoiding risk. It's about knowing that when things fall apart, you'll be okay anyway, because you have people who'll help you put the pieces back together." Lily thought about that, about how terrified she'd been the night she'd shown up at his door with nothing but a ruined dress and a broken engagement, about how many times she'd almost given up, almost gone back, almost chosen the easier path. But she hadn't. She'd chosen the harder thing, the braver thing, the thing that required her to trust herself and trust Adrian and trust that maybe, just maybe, she deserved something real. And now here she was, 3 years later, living in a small apartment with a man who made bad coffee and a stepdaughter who thought dinosaurs could be purple if you believed hard enough. Working at an art supply store and selling paintings on the side, and building a life that looked nothing like what she'd planned, but everything like what she needed. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked Adrian. "Letting me in that night, taking on all my chaos?" "Never. Not once. Even when my father tried to take Emma? Even then, because you were worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for." "How did you know? That first night when I showed up, how did you know I wasn't just going to be another disaster?" Adrian was quiet for a moment, thinking. "I didn't, but I knew that some things are worth the risk. Some people are worth taking a chance on. You were one of them." "What if I'd let you down?" "Then you would have, and I would have survived it and moved on. But you didn't let me down. You did exactly what I hoped you'd do. You got stronger. You built a life. You became the person you were supposed to be instead of the person everyone else wanted you to be." Lily kissed him, slow and grateful. "I love you. I love you too. I'm glad I knocked on your door." "Me too." They sat there in the quiet of their small home, surrounded by Emma's drawings and Lily's paintings and all the evidence of a life being lived honestly and imperfectly. And Lily thought about how strange it was that the worst night of her old life had become the first night of her real one. She thought about all the girls out there who were still living in cages they didn't realize were cages, who were still doing what they were supposed to do instead of what they wanted to do, who were still waiting for permission to want something different, and she wished she could tell them what she'd learned, that walking away from a comfortable prison was terrifying but necessary, that rebuilding yourself from nothing was hard but possible, that choosing yourself wasn't selfish, it was survival, that sometimes the people who love you most are the ones who let you fall apart without trying to fix you, who give you space to be messy and scared and uncertain, who believe in you even when you don't believe in yourself, that real love doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't require you to be smaller or quieter or more convenient. It just asks that you show up honestly and keep showing up, even when it's hard. And most importantly, that you don't need permission to want more, to be more, to choose the life that makes you happy instead of the one that makes everyone else comfortable. Lily had learned all of that in the 3 years since she'd left her engagement party and shown up at Adrian's door. She'd learned it slowly, painfully, through trial and error and failure and fear. But she'd learned it. And now she was teaching it to Emma in small ways, letting her pick her own clothes even when they didn't match, encouraging her to try new things even if she failed, showing her that it was okay to be loud and messy and imperfect, showing her through example that a woman could stand on her own 2 feet and still choose to lean on someone she loved. That strength wasn't about doing everything alone. It was about knowing when to ask for help and having people who'd give it freely. Years passed. Emma grew up in a home where people communicated instead of controlled, where mistakes were learning opportunities instead of failures, where love was given freely instead of conditionally. She went to college studying environmental science because she'd decided saving the planet was important, and Adrian and Lily scraped together what they could for tuition, and Emma handled the rest with scholarships and part-time work. Lily's art career grew steadily, not explosively, not in a way that made her famous or wealthy, but in a sustainable way that let her make a living doing what she loved. She taught classes at Margaret's shop after Margaret retired and left the business to her. She sold paintings in galleries and online. She made enough to contribute to the household and feel proud of what she'd built. Adrian eventually opened his own coffee shop, a small place that served good coffee without pretension. He hired people who needed second chances, who were rebuilding their lives the way Lily had rebuilt hers. He made it a space where people felt welcome instead of judged. They never got rich. They never lived the life Lily could have had if she'd stayed with Marcus, if she'd gone back to her family, if she'd chosen comfort over authenticity. But they built something better than rich. They built something real. And on quiet nights, when Emma was grown and gone and it was just the two of them again, Adrian and Lily would sit together and marvel at how far they'd come from that rain-soaked night when everything changed. "Do you remember what you said to me?" Lily asked one night, years after it all began. "That first night when I asked why you were being so nice to me? I said you deserved someone to be nice to you." "You did, and I didn't believe you. I thought you wanted something." "I did want something. I wanted you to be happy." "That's it? That's all you wanted?" "That's all I've ever wanted." Lily rested her head on his shoulder, comfortable in the silence that comes from years of knowing someone completely. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" "For seeing me. For believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. For loving me enough to let me figure things out on my own instead of trying to save me." "You saved yourself, Lily. I just gave you a safe place to do it. That's more than anyone else ever gave me." "Then they were idiots." She laughed, and he kissed the top of her head, and they sat there in the home they'd built together, surrounded by the life they'd chosen instead of the one that had been chosen for them. And if someone had asked Lily, in that moment, whether it was all worth it, the fear, the uncertainty, the years of struggling to make ends meet, the relationship she'd lost with her family, all of it, she would have said yes without hesitation. Because she'd learned something that no amount of money or status could teach. She'd learned that the only life worth living was the one you chose for yourself. That real love didn't control, it liberated. That strength came from vulnerability, not perfection. That sometimes the bravest thing you could do was admit you needed help and then accept it when it was offered. She'd learned that running away from the wrong thing was actually running toward the right thing. That starting over wasn't failure. It was courage. That the life you built from nothing was always more valuable than the life you inherited from someone else's expectations. And she'd learned that sometimes the worst night of your life was actually the first night of your real life beginning. All because she'd knocked on a door at 2 a.m. All because a man who barely knew her had said yes when he could have said no. All because they'd both been brave enough to choose the uncertain thing over the safe thing. And in the end, that made all the difference.